in a galaxy that is exactly this one, in a solar system that is also this one, on a planet that we are currently on. Don and Jake are doing a podcast. And as they're doing a podcast, the winds of war are brewing. World War III is in bouts. And through a random message, the voice of Adolf Hitler has returned. And the Allied nations must form together to stop Adolf Hitler and his massive fleet of country destroying weapons. And that is basically the parody of the Rise of Skywalker.
That sounds like this universe kind of sucks. I was gonna say our universe sounds boring. Put it like that. That's awful.
Twist.
But
anyway, cue the music.
Oh, you took my line. Dang it! All right, cue the music.
Welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash Ketchum Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. Donald, hello.
Hello, it's me.
Mario.
That was weak.
That's a question mark. This is.
Is it?
Welcome, everybody. This is the State of Review, Star Wars, the Sequel Trilogy. And I'm excited for this one. I have wrote a lot of notes.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. I'm excited to get into it, but I feel like it's more of a man. I'm gonna fucking rip these movies up a lot. Excited.
Oh yeah. Hey, these movies were fantastic. How dare you? The first one made $1 billion.
I mean, I feel like the first one's the one I don't have a lot of grievance towards.
You're showing a video with this so they can see our sarcasm, or is there video with these podcasts?
Oh, there is video with these podcasts now. Mr. Parody version of Ben Shapiro.
True story. I look just like him, I guess.
I posted the intro with how we were talking about Ash's Pikachu and how it destroys the whole mystique of Don't Evolve Me. And that's the video I posted, and then some commenter commented that Donald looked like Ben Shapiro. I should do a parody of Ben Shapiro, and I can't unsee it now.
Yep, I could do it.
I'll play. Are you going to talk about how Disney is woke now?
Disney is woke.
You gotta do it in his voice.
I don't have any count.
Well, you gotta work on his voice. The Ben Shapiro voice.
I don't have that.
You gotta do the Ray is a Mary Sue. I feel like that's a Ben Shapiro argument. I don't know.
Well, I know that's a Ben Shapiro argument. That's
we will talk about that because I think that's one of the more like interesting pieces about this, like the sequel trilogy. And one of the big questions is Rey a Mary Sue? And like, I feel like she's a Mary Sue in the same way that Anakin and Luke are Mary Sues. Like they have,
they're all pretty.
Yeah, they have a bunch of power, and it kind of just comes. It's not like neither of the three trained when they were really, really young. You know, Anakin was, what, 9? Yeah, he was 9 when he started his training. Yep. Luke was 19, I believe.
Yeah, teeny bopper.
Yeah, and Rey was also either like late teens, early 20s. Like, they were all within like the late time frame of...
Well, Star Wars is a Mary Sue story. Like, you can't watch Star Wars and not have some of this Mary Sue crap going on. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Anakin literally saved or killed the Federation in the first film by just accident. He accidentally... Yeah. So I was listening. I was telling Donald this. I was listening to our episodes because I could not, for the life of me, remember who our MVPs were. And I'm like, I have to. We have to bring it up. This is our thing now. MVPs. And I think we figured it out. I listened to the first one. I think the second one, the original trilogy, we were pretty certain on what it was, right?
Yeah. You're fairly certain.
So the Phantom Menace MVP was Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, easy, hands down.
I would say Anakin is like a good runner-up. Not because he tried; it just happenstance. No,
No, that kid was awful.
that's fair.
You ever watch that movie?
I mean, yeah, for this podcast.
Yeah. He was.
Uh,
I mean, he's young. He's a kid. Give him some slack.
Episode 2, we didn't know, and I remember like in the podcast in the episode that we did, you're just like, episode 2 is so garbage that like it doesn't have it shouldn't even have an MVP, but we'll give it to Obi-Wan. I thought it was Yoda initially, but yeah, Obi-Wan, I think by default gets it, and then episode 3 was also Obi-Wan.
Yep, that's where the total series for that one was Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that one's not like within question. Yep. And then the original trilogy was Leia for episode 4, right?
Yep. Leia.
Because she was just pretty badass in that movie. Episode 5 was Darth Vader. And then episode 6 was Luke. And I feel like we need to define MVP. I feel like it's the best character. It should be best character for like that made the movie work the most.
Yeah, the character that brought the most to the movie, that made it, I don't know, the one that led the team, just like an MVP. He was the most valuable key piece to the movie that made the movie. I don't want to. They're not terrible. Like made the movie the movie.
He was like
he added the most development. Yeah. He added the most character driven. He had the most spirit. He added the most, factor, the wow factor, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they added the most. That's the MVP for me.
Oh, so we'll have to add our MVPs from each movie, and I feel like we have to agree upon it. And I think we usually pretty much agree, or we discussed it.
Not today.
Not today. We're throwing fists.
We'll agree. I think we have the same agreeing stance with this next trilogy. So
I feel like most have. There isn't much like sequel trilogy defenders out there, not unlike the prequels. And then we'll make the comparison between the prequel and the sequel trilogy, because I think that's like a better comparison to the original, because it's like its own thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Should we get into some of the intro stuff?
Let's get into some of the intro stuff.
All right. Welcome, Donald. Let's start out with, what are you nerding out on? It's winter, kind of.
It's winter, kind of. The weather's been good.
We're
haven't really gotten a chance to enjoy it too much.
Just so the audience know, we're recording this like 2 weeks early. We had to switch our scheduling up. We're recording this the 3rd of February. And the weather, instead of freezing cold,
is like March.
April, May.
March and April, yeah, it's awesome.
It's been at 1.60 degrees in January. That's unheard of for Minnesota. It's usually -20, -10.
It's really weird because we had that ice spurt for like 2 weeks or a week and a half.
Yeah, the polar vortex.
Come back, all of a sudden, boom, we're talking about 50s. And the snow's gone. I mean, we didn't get any snow this whole entire year, so looks like a desert out here. It's weird.
It really is. But anyway, Donald, what have you been nerding on?
Nerding on? Well, as of recent days, you ever seen the show called White Collar?
White Collar? I don't think so.
That's what I tried to dress up as. Dang it.
Okay.
But Ben Shapiro works, I guess. I mean, not really dressed as best, because I'm not a really Neil Caffrey looking fella. But I was like, I'll try to go for it really quick. And I was trying to do my hair really quick because I just got done for a nap, and I was like, what if I can Neil Caffrey this up? Anyway, White Collar was my most recent nerding, as well as everybody knows from the last one. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is still on the list. I just won my Meteor Black Dragon from Jono 2. That took forever. It was like 100-something duels. I was like, thank you. I'm beating the game naturally. Not any cheating, not any ROM hacks, none of those.
Wonderful.
The hacks they show on the YouTube and stuff, and it's like, you can do this, you win it. That's not how the game works.
Nice. By
the refresh rate thing. That's someone's with the ROM hack. So actually winning the game naturally is quite fun. I could probably now just go through and win the game, but I don't like to just win. I like to beat the shit out of my opponents.
I don't want to just win. I want to dominate.
Yeah, I want to dominate them all the way through, and I'm like, I'm the best because if technically in the game, if you lose one game, you automatically technically game over.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of how the game works. So I don't want to have any game overs. The only time I can lose is in free duel. That was my rule. And if I lose in the regular game, I got to restart it.
Do it up. Yeah.
But I haven't lost yet,
Nice.
so I'm just training, getting cards.
Have you I sent you the link. Are you gonna buy one of the like 18 karat gold Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
I want one, but man,
It's like $100.
money.
It's a lot.
Yeah, just for a necklace thing. I mean, I wear my other necklace I have every day. It's like, oh, man, it'd be really cool, but
They just
I'm nerdy about it. But
they just released Black Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon.
oh man,
It's dope.
that'd be so tight.
I don't know which one I would get. I feel like Blue Eyes is like a must, but it's hard to say.
Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, they're all great.
They are.
I used to have a Red Eyes Black Dragon deck used to run. Now I'm looking it up, see if that's any cheaper. Because
My nerding out has not changed at all. It is still very much One Piece. We're at Marineford, and that's like it's such a great arc. It has like very little to do with like the main character is in it, but his crew is not in it. But it's like every big player in this lore, this world is like in one area, just massively battling to stop an execution, and it's just glorious. And it's just basically like these individuals who have essentially all have like Vader like power sets, if not more than Vader, more unique. And they're all just battling to stop this execution from the world government, and it's phenomenal. We're not finished with it. It's just a phenomenal arc. Otherwise, Star Wars this week.
I do have to ask,
Yeah.
just because there's a lot of people that get it on this One Piece kick with Netflix coming up with the show. Is it highly entertaining all the way through? Like it's 900 something episodes. There's something that tells me it's like I don't know.
I'm on 469, I believe, and I have been wanting to watch nothing but One Piece. Like that's where I'm at. Brandon just started watching One Piece. He's on episode 300 or 50 or so. We have to do Avatar next week, and I talked to him, and you're like, "Oh, I'll watch it, but I don't want to because I just want to watch One Piece." Like that's where he's at with it. So I can't speak for the second half of essentially the episodes, but for the first nearly 500 episodes, it has been a ride. There's a couple arcs here and there, a couple storylines. It's like, I can't wait for it to get over. One Piece does drag on. Like it's very much the opposite of these movies. Whereas these movies just fly through a bunch of shit and you don't understand where the fuck any of this comes from. One Piece, no, they do backstory upon backstory upon backstory to make sure that narratively you have the answers to all the questions, which is awesome, but also like just move on. Because sometimes like it's all interesting, it's all worth it, it's all unique. It never feels like it does feel like a drag, but it's not like necessarily a drag of like
Gotcha.
It's a drag of like, okay, can we just get to the point?
Yeah.
But it's still for almost nearly 500 episodes, amazing. Star Wars, been watching it this week. Obviously, got to prepare for the show, and then
Had to.
Baldur's Gate. I'm slowly getting through it. It's a fun game that I'm like, it takes a lot for me to like focus on it. But I think it's a game that you would like, Donald, because it's essentially just D&D. Because everything you have to do, like if you want to do a persuasion or like you try to like any dialogue, you have to roll dice. It is D&D.
That's great.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we get into the news?
Oh, let's just go into the news. I don't have too much other than ready for this news. What you got?
All right, let's get into the news.
Because it's news to me. That's right.
Oh,
I got you. Are you jealous in that? Woo!
not at all. All right, I'm gonna change.
Got him.
I realized I posted a lot, and I'm like, this news is gonna be old by the time we release this episode, so I'll do the only half of what we did. So the first big one that I want to talk about, according to Donald Glover, the Community movie, the script is finished.
I know. Are we not excited to see what this movie
I
will
am
be like?
excited
What they're doing?
for them to fulfill the prophecy that is 6 seasons in a movie. We got 6
seasons in a movie.
seasons. We need the
6
movie.
seasons in a movie.
I'm just excited that Donald Glover might be in it. I just want to see like
Oh yeah, we're a huge Donald Glover fan, so
Yeah,
I'm sure
huge.
you're thrilled about it.
huge. Wait, where?
I'm excited to see everybody come back in the community, see what the story's about. Joel McHale. Oh, look at
Yeah,
that.
Donald Glover, Lando Calrissian. He's a
Yeah,
wonderful,
he's got that
wonderful
sitcom
Lando.
tech.
So speaking of which, we have some sad news. That is Community and Star Wars based. Sir Carl Weathers has passed away. And he was Carl Grievous, or not Grievous. I'm blanking on his name. He was a Mandalorian. Karga, I believe. I just saw his name. I was like, remember how to say it, because I always forget. Donald, you looking it up?
Yeah. Trying to look up his name. What is his name? I only know him.
You are okay. He was in a lot of things. Carl Weathers was. He's in Mandalorian. He's in
he was in
Community.
one of
He's the voice of the president in Rick and Morty. Like everyone has heard his voice.
Yeah, you're right.
Karga.
Yeah, Grief Karga.
Grief Karga.
Grief Karga.
Okay, I should have just confidently
I'm
said
like
it.
on it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Other news. I'll probably mention this in the next week's podcast too, but Miley Alcock, she plays a young Rhaenyra. Supergirl. House of Dragons actress is now going to be Supergirl. And honestly, she really looks like a jaded Supergirl, which is what the movie's supposed to be. So I'm pretty excited for this. I hope she nails it.
Yeah. She seems like a good character to play the role. I mean, it fits Superman well. She did a really good job in the Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
For the
House of Dragons.
Kicking that off as far as her character. I thought her character was better than the second person she chose.
Yeah.
Or the second, yeah.
And then
one, so I was happy with that. And it's James Gunn. So we're excited. It's finally James Gunn's DC. Woo! It's gonna bypass Marvel, hopefully. Marvel kind of tippers off.
We still got 2 years until Superman comes out, so we'll see. Joker comes out this year though. All right. Last bit of news. I was going to talk Avatar, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to save all the Avatar news until next week because I think that's more fitting. This might be sus. There's going to be Among Us animated TV show for Netflix. I have no...
Yeah,
I feel like that could be good.
Sounds like it could be pretty funny.
I think it'd be just awesome if they do like each season on the map. And like you have all these different colors and they have different personalities, and by the end of each episode, one of the colors dies, and you have to figure out which color or which characters are the
murderer.
Yeah,
there's little clues. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be fun.
And they make it funny because the characters look really dorky.
Yeah,
you make them do dorky things, like you do when you play it. Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah, so that's a little bit.
Arms, little.
So that is the news.
I'd allow it. I allow all of it.
Donald, was that news to you?
It was news to me. See? Yeah, you're loving it. He said, guys, we changed something on the podcast. The feedback, the comments. Thank you. Hey, we appreciate everyone that messaged Jake.
Maybe I'll just I'll remember the time for this and we'll put it in. We'll make a TikTok. What should we do? A news quickie or
our news to me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, we should have a debate. People would choose and be like, news quickie.
I'm still, I don't know if I'll change news quickie, even though it's never quick. It's never quick news.
Yeah.
I gotta
spend like 20 minutes.
But I feel like that's part of the joke. A news quickie. He's like, Shake, shut up. It's not quick at all.
20 minutes later. I mean,
20.
depends. Sometimes you last a little longer. Sometimes it's really short. Depends how much,
Oh yeah.
your definition of quickie.
All right. Should we get into Star Wars?
What is your definition of quickie? That's a good question for the audience.
What's a good
Yeah,
question
go
for
ahead.
quickie? I should.
Yeah, what's the length of time?
What
What's a quickie?
What's a quickie? I don't know. What's a quickie for you?
I would say
The hesitation.
7 minutes.
7 minutes? Is that
Would
is
be-
that quick for people?
I don't know. Like, I don't think in life, like, it's hard to. I don't know how people do it. Like, I did it in 2 minutes. Like, proud of you, son.
I'm on the
What a weird conversation to have.
I'm on the
but,
yeah. I don't know if I want to be sharing. For me, a quickie is like 20 minutes, but that's a whole like conversation for a different podcast.
It's more impressive. Just saying. Yeah, it's not really a podcast question, but I just.
Well, it's not a.
We got.
I don't know if it's this question for this podcast. Maybe
Yeah, we're talking about Star Wars.
we'll
Get your head out of the gutter.
We'll go to the Rose podcast, the Symposium podcast. Please check it out. Rose, great. We'll go on his podcast. We'll answer the question of what is a news quickie.
Yeah.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
make a video of this just to give him some cross promotion and tag him in it. Symposium podcast, people,
deal.
check it out. All right,
Symposium podcast. Check it out.
Star
We'll
Wars.
be on it one day.
Let's get to it. Force Awakens.
From a galaxy far, far away from here. Yep.
In a galaxy far, far away, we have a sequel trilogy starting with Force Awakens. Can I?
You're excited. You're ready. You haven't seen Star Wars in a long time. It's been several years. We're going. Like, what happened to Luke? What's the story? What did he do after? How's it going? Where are they taking this? And you get this magnificent. Go, Jake. Give us the start.
I was not prepared.
I was trying to give you the audience expectation going into this, and we were, we all knew what I was thinking there.
So
like, here we go.
I was like,
Good to see it.
I have the plot right here because I like to post the plot so I can like have a visual instead of like trying to remember. And I'm like, am I supposed to just read? 30 years after the Battle of Endor, the First Order has risen from the fallen Galactic Empire and seeks to end the New Republic. Fucking good riddance, because they fucking suck. The Resistance.
So basically, all that work that Luke didn't mean shit.
Undone.
You're like, in 30 years? That's it?
The Resistance, backed by the Republic and led by General Leia Organa, opposes the First Order. Leia searches for her twin brother, Luke Skywalker, who is missing. Dun, dun, dun.
Which is also wild. And save the world. Well, I guess you find a little bit later in the movie. Save the world.
Save the cheerleader.
Have one failed apprentice, and you're like,
done.
Mount.
I suck.
And you're like,
yeah, that's a Last Jedi conversation. I will say, yeah, Luke Skywalker not being in this film and like trying to make a reasonable explanation why he wasn't a part of this film is.
I just don't understand why they decided.
He was supposed to be in this.
Maybe because they wanted Han Solo.
Well, he was supposed to be in this film. The script had him in it. He was signed for this film. I'm pretty sure Mark Hamill was paid millions of dollars to appear in this film for like 5 seconds because he was supposed to be in this film a lot more.
Yeah, and what happened? What happened? What happened when they were scripting this up and they're like, no one in there went like, hey, script's a little weird. it doesn't really make any sense.
Well, I'm not.
People like,
I'm not critiquing this part of it because this whole trilogy deserves critiquing, and I feel.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, exactly. But anyway, to start off, everyone's excited. We're about to see it, and we leave it 30 years later. It doesn't. It's like, yeah, no, we're back to what we were. And you're like,
can I talk about that? Because like I remember this film.
Oh,
I remember being fucking excited, stoked.
Oh, I know.
Like all the hype, like I didn't even care like necessarily that we're getting new characters compared to old characters. Like I just wanted Star Wars. I wanted it back. And I was just excited that we got an episode 7, that we were getting a sequel of some sort. They were seeing these characters in some sort of way. And I remember, like, my ex-wife, this is like how we met with Star Wars. And that's like the conversation got us into like our whole relationship. And I just remember just going back and forth with her and just like talking about this movie, hyping up for this movie, seeing it twice, bringing like your lightsabers, you're dressing up, not necessarily masks. They won't let you do masks after Dark Knight Rises. And the whole someone dressed up as, I think, either Batman or Joker or massacre at the movie theater. Yeah,
Joker.
but they wouldn't let you do it. But like, I just remember it was like an event. I remember going the second time and just getting completely drunk and just like the lightsaber fights and like the sound, the visuals. Like it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time to be a Star Wars fan.
Until you watched the movie.
See, I didn't hate it.
Oh,
I didn't hate it.
you just threw me off for the loop at the beginning. Like it was crazy. It's like I would have liked the movie if the way they were trying to do what they were trying to say would have been. But then it kind of makes sense as they add the backfill in a little bit. That's why I kind of like the Star Wars shows
Mhm.
are adding the Resistance is just absolute dog shit
Yeah,
at being. That helps to this movie, and I think that adds a lot of the validity to this. But at the beginning, when you're coming up with the Star Wars and you realize Luke and everyone seems to be on the same page, and then we have this wildness, and it's like, oh,
All right, can I read some of the script
anyway,
so we get into the movie a little bit?
yeah.
So, on the
Yeah,
deserted planet of
yeah.
Jakku, Resistant leader pilot Poe Dameron receives a map of Luke's location from an old ally, cause reasons. First Order stormtroopers commanded by Kylo Ren arrive, captures him, and his droid escapes with a map, and then finds Rey, who just a scavenger at this point on a planet. Kylo tortures Poe using the Force, learns of BB-8. Stormtrooper FN-2187, although is known as Finn, disillusioned by the First Order, saves Poe and is escaped by they escape by a TIE fighter. And then they go to Jakku to retrieve BB-8, but they crash. Poe is nowhere to be found. Finn assumes that Poe is dead, and he was supposed to be dead, but they did not. He did not stay that way in the film development. Finn finds Rey and BB-8. First Order finds them. Rey, Finn, BB-8 steal the Millennium Falcon and escape Jakku.
So let's just talk about one thing. I always find this funny. Like they never change Finn's name. They're like FN 4987. They're like, man, FN Finn. I'm like, I don't know
I don't.
if that's not degrading by anybody else, but like,
I don't mind it. I don't mind it actually. Plus,
it's clean.
I'm not saying that like the writing's good, but Oscar Isaac's such a fucking amazing actor that like
Oh yeah,
like that
Poe?
scene between him and John Boyega, like I don't think it was like a well written scene, but they made it work. They're like what's your name? FN-21, like fuck that, you're Finn. Like I
Yep.
am now giving you a name. It is
That
Finn.
seems great.
FN Finn. Like it worked. They played it off really, really well. And I think this is like one thing that I want people to know about this trilogy. Like the writing is absolutely garbage in a lot of these films. But the acting, especially from Poe Dameron's Oscar Isaac and often John Boyega, often I feel like
Oh, John Boyega and Oscar Isaac did fantastic.
they even Daisy Ridley was pretty decent. I wouldn't say
He really did pretty good too. Yeah.
yeah, I think she played
I mean, I think they all acted pretty well. I just think the writing was
yeah.
well. We'll get to the writing more as we
So-
figure out the plot of the story as we continue on and move forward.
Well, no, I want to talk about this a little bit. So the first scene, Kylo Ren comes
Oh,
in.
yeah, first-
You see his mask, and I will say Kylo Ren is like intimidating.
Yeah, at the oh yeah, this when they open this first
Yep.
scene, that's like the Star Wars thing. Like they know how to open a movie.
But you know how they ruined
Like,
it
you
though?
saw that.
You know what part ruined it?
What part ruined it for you?
It's when he grabs Poe, and Kyle is just staring at him, and Poe. This is where they go very MCU with this, and Poe's like, "Who's supposed to talk? Me? You? Me? You?" And I'm like, God damn it! Like, it wasn't funny.
Leave it intimidating.
Like this is a very intimidating scene, and like he's not intimidating. Like and Poe is that person, and he's been consistent throughout this movie. But I felt like it was like the wrong person to grab and force choke because like he didn't take it
Yeah, it
seriously,
could have
and
been.
it like just killed the intimidating threat
Oh yeah, the
level.
epicness of it come out. But when you first came into the scene, though, it was pretty epic.
It
You gotta
was.
admit, it was
I will
it was
say
pretty
I
cool.
love Finn's origin. Him just being a stormtrooper, him seeing like his first action and just being like, no,
Yep,
no.
not doing that. Yep. Yeah, this isn't right.
What you thought about Ray and her backstory?
Ray's scavenger backstory, I think, is really at the beginning. It's I didn't mind it. I liked the good scavenger backstory. I thought it was okay, an okay thing. Not I. The problem is I know where they took it, and that's where I struggle.
Where do they take it?
Like where we should originally started,
Where'd you take it?
or how they took it. What Ray is at the end of it all, and the Palpatine having a scavenger backstory and her becoming like a scavenger and all that kind of stuff. I think that was kind of a cool. I think it was an okay backstory to
Yeah.
set it off for her character.
I wish
I mean, I actually like.
I wish she wasn't on a fucking desert planet. Like
Yeah,
honestly, the whole idea of like because Force Awakens, what's the biggest criticism of Force Awakens? It's essentially a New Hope. And
yeah,
I defended this film for a good 2 years before Last Jedi. And I defended this film hard because I'm like, yeah, it is really similar, but it's not the same. It's not a ripoff, and it makes sense to start a new trilogy with this. And like it's a decent opener for a trilogy. And I still believe it's a decent opener. And then
yeah. It's not a bad opener.
but I will say, like, the fact that like we're gonna start on desert planets, I wish somebody would just be like, how about no? Can it be on an ice planet?
Yeah,
Can it be on a jungle planet? Can it be on
can it be
plains?
anything but a desert planet?
Like, okay, it's like, nope, it must be
Mhm.
desert. Okay, Tatooine then? Can we put it on Tatooine? They're like, no, it
No, a
can't.
different desert
It's like,
planet. And you're like, so not in the lore.
we're gonna
Gotcha.
make new lore for it. I'm like, but does it have to be a desert planet?
Yeah, you already have
It
it.
feels
That's kind of my thought too on that part
it
too.
feels lazy a little bit. Like we're gonna do New Hope, but it's like the meme where it's like, hey, can I copy your homework? Like, yes, you can, but change it enough a bit so like the teacher we don't get caught. And that's what essentially what Force Awakens does feel like. I will say that.
Yeah,
What's your
almost way too much.
yeah, a little bit. Poe is supposed to die. Do you think he should have died? Just narratively speaking.
Narratively speaking, I think it would have had a cool way to have a strong character die at the beginning of a movie like that. I think would be very powerful and impactful to show the force of
Yeah.
nature again.
Especially if Kylo
I think it
killed
should
him.
have. Yep.
I will say though, I love Oscar Isaac and his and Poe Dameron. Like he's I liked seeing him in this trilogy. He made it worthwhile to watch at least. So
Yeah, he did such a good job.
I like
It's tough.
I don't want to say like no, but I'm like, ooh, it would have been a lot stronger if Kylo Ren would have killed somebody like early on right away. But we do get that a little bit later on, which we'll talk about.
Yeah,
I like how like I say it as if like just wait and what happens to the movies. Like no,
just wait.
we all know.
You
It's like
know what we're talking about.
like
Yeah,
we're reviewing Force Awakens. Like everyone fucking knows we're talking about Han Solo getting killed by Kylo. I don't know, but
yep.
moving on. So Finn finds Rey, who has BB-8, and they have to escape because a bunch of forces are looking for BB-8, as well as Rey and Finn at this point. And the Millennium Falcon just happens to be there. And I think this is my first like real grievance. Like the Poe Dameron joke at the beginning, a small grievance.
Yeah, you get over that.
This one's like, why the fuck is the Millennium Falcon here? And like, is this a little too contrived?
Yeah, versus where this is where they talk about the Mary Sue-ish really starting off the bat too. Like this just happens to be there. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless, Han Solo or whatever, there was you a different strength to build to the why the Millennium Falcon would be there. But they're just kind of like, oh, Millennium Falcon,
It's there.
we'll take this
We're
one.
gonna leave it. We're gonna escape. I will say the first like Millennium Falcon like scene where they're escaping from the First Order was a wild ride. Like that was like the first like
It was
it was
fun.
the first like ride, and I remember seeing it in theaters, being like, yeah, this is fun. It's cool. Yeah, Star Wars, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was insane. Everybody came in with so much excitement with this film.
And
We all did. We all were
oh,
excited.
yeah, and like
And it was an exciting beginning. It was a very thrilling beginning, very menacing. That's why we could forgive those little parts at the very beginning of the movie too, like the Poe and the Millennium Falcon being there, because we were just excited to see it so much.
yeah,
I mean, looking back at it like we are now, we're like,
that's a little contrived. It's a
yeah,
little forced.
a little bit, just a little.
But speaking of contrived, I'm going to move forward with this plot. The Falcon is discovered and boarded by Han Solo and Chewbacca immediately.
Yep.
Speaking of contrived, more contrived? What would be the
Who
word?
do they arrive to? Han Solo and Chewbacca, and you're like, what the?
That was fast. Gangs seeking debt
Yep.
settles debts with Han attack immediately, but the group escape in the Falcon, and that's the whole. I forget what beasts were in the giant ship, but this is kind of a fun horror scene a little bit. And the Han's little like, hey, I'll pay you later. Don't worry, I'm good for it. And then another group attacks. He's like, hey, I'll pay you guys later. I'm good for it. And they're like, yeah, no. Like, I will say, like, I love how classic Han this is. I hate the fact that he's here already, but I freaking love Harrison Ford's Han Solo, and just it was cool.
Yeah,
to
it's
see.
such a good character.
It's cool just to see. At the First Order's Star Killer base, Death Star 3.0, a planet
Just in case we haven't seen that enough. Yep.
a planet converted into a super weapon. Supreme Leader Snoke approves General Hux's
Wait, what's this planet super weapon supposed to be able to do?
destroy planets and also
No.
stars.
Yeah. Well, stars are planets, so I mean, but yeah.
Well, like, what's like hilarious about it is like it kills a sun to destroy the planets, but I'm like, if you destroy the sun, you already like you don't need to kill the planets.
Yep.
Like you suck the sun's energy to kill the planets, but like you already killed the sun.
Mission accomplished. Yep. Anyway,
It's overkill
yep.
at this.
This doesn't sound like any other movie I've heard of before in the past.
Well,
But anyway,
so General Hux's request to use the weapon for the first time in the New Republic. Snoke questions Kylo's ability to deal with emotions surrounding his father Han Solo, whom Kylo states means nothing to him. We learn that Kylo and Han are related.
father and son.
Actually, we don't learn this until he says Ben, right? He just questions the fact that, like, hey, your emotions dealing with this. We knew that he's connected. We didn't know how at this point. I will say that.
But it was kind of well foreshadowed to be a father son.
I freaking.
We just assumed his name was Kylo.
I love Kylo because, like, I love his emotions. And I know some people are like, oh, he's a little bitch. Look at him having a temper tantrum. I'm like, dude, I love that as a character. Like, have you been around people who like are unhinged when it comes to with their anger? Like, you know, they don't get what they want and they just start beating random things. Like, that's terrifying to be around. Like, I mean, Vader very much did that too. He just did with the Force choke. Like, how dare you question me? Kyle's like, slashing like random objects. Like, I don't know. I loved it. What was your thoughts on Kylo and his temper tantrums?
Just I guess I don't mind the temper tantrums a little bit, but that the struggle I had with Kylo Ren coming out here with the temper tantrums is he wasn't, I would say, controlled enough from what I've known of the Sith.
Yeah.
To have that being like their Sith apprentice, really. So I was kind of like that's kind of where my caveat came in. It's like for a Sith apprentice, especially if they're out of power and trying to get back into it, you're gonna choose. Maybe you would choose someone off the handle, but ideally, from the past, we've seen the Sith that's more a methodical approach to things, and Kylo didn't seem as a methodical Sith.
No.
and
Not at all.
stuff. So that was a little bit of a tougher cookie, but I didn't mind Kylo's character at all. I
I
mean, I
just
thought he was
I
fine.
loved how different he was.
Yeah, he was different. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that. It
He's
was just new Star
he
Wars, so it
wasn't
was different. It was good.
methodical at all. He's essentially still a child. And I'm like, as a character, I'm like, okay, we have the I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but we have essentially the child of Leia and Han. They're from a power family, Luke's nephew. Like we have this what I'm trying to think. Like this guy born of natural force abilities, but like he's still like a child. He's still
Yeah,
I don't know. I just like that take for people with power, and it's something that was fresh. And I'm all about fresh ideas.
it was fresh new. There's nothing wrong with
All
it.
right, well,
I didn't mind Kylo's.
we have a lot more to get into, so let's get into it because I don't want to like focus all on this movie.
Yeah, we got plenty of focus on lots of other stuff. So yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
All right, so aboard a Falcon, Han determines that BB's map is incomplete. Then they explain that Luke, with the whole Jedi Order, he turned to his apprentice turned to the dark side, and Luke kind of went into hiding. They travel to Takodana to meet with the Katina owner Maz Kanata for help to getting BB-8 and more. What's the word? Contrisms? No. More things that just happen. The Force draws Rey to a secluded vault where she finds Luke's lightsaber.
Yep, just
Of course, his lightsaber is there. Of course,
why? Like
she
that makes
she has it.
no sense.
She experiences visions
You're like, yeah,
that literally mean nothing because it basically teases things that really don't happen in the next movies. Um, she denies the lightsaber and then flees into the woods. And then Maz
yeah.
gives
That's
it
the
to
thing.
Finn.
That's what I've watching this movie though, seeing those visions. Like, I don't mind that. I didn't mind the visions. I was like, we're gonna get some visions to this quest. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
That made me a little more
I
excited for
liked
it.
it at the
I was like,
time.
yeah,
I loved it at the time.
yep.
I remember like looking at those
Backstory of
visions,
Dave.
spending like many time watching these visions and trying to piece together the clues. What I hate about it now, those clues never came to fruition. So like this vision means nothing to me anymore. Like there is
Yep,
nothing there.
it's a waste of space.
But yes, that's a good point. The vision at the time is pretty
Yeah,
good.
man. It was.
Any thoughts on the Katina scene with Maz Kanata? I thought it was just kind of like a filler, middle arc thing. They go somewhere,
Yeah, it was kind of a middle arc thing, just a reason for Ray to find the lightsaber, pretty much, and not a
which
good reason for Ray to find the lightsaber. So
no, not at all. And I don't
I was
mind
like,
them
what the hell?
getting Luke's lightsaber, but at the same time, I wish they would just left it alone and found like
They could have been. Why not do it on the quest to find Luke? Like, where was Luke last at?
yeah.
We went here. When they met Leia, and be like, it could have been
Or
way
or
easier
they
to
found a way to
easier
like
to.
trace Luke through technology. Instead of finding Luke, they found his blue lightsaber in a random location. Like I think that'd have been a little bit cooler because then it's like, oh, well, we went on this trail and we found a thing of Luke. I don't know how we would tie it together, but like I feel like that would have been more interesting rather than, hey, look, the random place he went to. Here's a random
Yeah,
thing from the guy you're looking for.
yeah. Overall, just a really weird filler. It was just a filler,
Yeah.
an
I will
interesting one.
say though, the attack on this planet was pretty cool. So Starkiller Base destroys the New Republic and 4 neighboring planets, leaving the Resistance on their own, which god damn, like there was no setup for this at all. And I remember when the Starkiller Base was like activated and like a whole solar system died and you saw like planets, like 4 planets being evaporated. And I was like, is this a lot of people died, right? This is important, right? But it didn't really feel that way.
Yeah, it was just zip, zip, zip. 4 planets died, and they're like,
And like New
oh.
Hope does that, but I feel like they were technology wise, like
They were
they were
limited.
limited, and like the idea of like destroying a planet was like shocking at the time. But like now, I don't feel like the Force Awakens gets that
The power you should have when a planet gets destroyed, and it'll be alone 4 planets. It was like,
which is
it should be more of like
and like the New Republic capital too. I don't know. It was like it felt like a scene that should have been in the 3rd film or episode 9 rather than in episode 7 because there was just
yep.
like, hey, big event happened, but it's like we don't feel it. There's no emotion
Well,
to
that's what
it.
That's what I'm saying. This is where that writing comes in. Like, it's exciting and stuff, but the writing comes in. For 30 years, all of a sudden, this empire is this powerful,
The First
and they're
Order.
destroying absolutely the First Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, First Order. The First Order. Yeah, and they're like, what? How?
I know.
This doesn't make any logical
It
sense.
does not. So then the First Order all at the same time is looking for BB-8, so they attack Takadana for reasons. Oh, I know the reason. They
Doesn't also describe why everyone's looking for Luke, other than he was the hero the last time this happened.
Yeah, I don't. That's basically it.
That's the only feel like Luke's like, yeah, Billy saved us last time. You're like, oh, that's the only reason why you guys are looking for
Uh-huh.
Luke and not trying to destroy this thing?
So they had,
Like, why weren't you guys just trying to destroy the thing?
I don't
That sounds like a better
know.
plan.
Yeah, it does.
Just
Like they don't
saying,
even know if
like,
Luke's alive. To be honest with you,
yeah, they're like, we got to find Luke in order to defeat them. And you're like, but okay, but
you're
anyway,
already
yeah,
doing
sorry.
your thing.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, so they go out there. There's a fight in Takadona. I do really like this fight because Finn gets to use the lightsaber. At the time, we thought like, oh, is he
oh, I thought Finn
Force
was going to be a
sensitive?
Jedi too. I was excited with Finn's
And then
character.
he beats
They
the traitor, and he does a little thing with the. I love that scene, that fight scene with him using
yeah,
it. Wonderful.
telling you, Finn and Poe, man, Finn and
And then
Poe.
Han and Chewie. Han's just like, Chewie, let me see your weapon. I like this thing. Like it's the first time he ever used it, but like I thought it was a cool moment that was very Han like. And then Rey gets captured by Kylo, and then that starts the whole torturing scene with Kylo and Rey, which a lot of people because like she torches Kylo torches Rey, Rey resists, and then Rey does the whole like let me go and gets out. And Daniel Craig makes his cameo appearance that no one knew about until like after the film came out,
Yep.
which I think is wonderful. I think that scene is like iconic. You're gonna let me go. I'm gonna let you go. Like James Bond. There it is. A lot of people
Yep.
are upset with this, and I have no problems with Rey being able to do this trick with like little to no teaching. My biggest problem though is the fact that they did not do any writing or literally no setup for this big reveal, which is essentially my problem with this whole trilogy in general.
Yep.
They introduced so many new Force stuff, which there will be some fanboys. They're okay. Let's be honest. The fan base for Star Wars hates anything. A lot of times will hate new things. I don't hate new powers. I just hate when there's not set up to it, and it's just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
This
When you're drops, you're like, this is supposed to be a giant reveal. Whoa, she has force powers.
and this film isn't as bad as the other films, but it is like the start. All right, let's move forward. Unless you have something more to say about the
Like,
last scene.
no, but it reminded me a lot of Ahsoka at the end, and then
Yeah,
Mandalorian
oh,
Jedi all of
yeah.
a sudden was OP, and she knew how to use everything, and you're like, that she couldn't train and lift up a freaking coin.
But
Now she's doing everything. Kind of the same feeling I had there.
yeah,
We're talking about Star Wars. Like, dang it.
Sabine Wren. All right, at the Resistance base, BB-8 finds R2D2. Of course he does. Starkiller base is prepared to fire once more. The Resistance plans to destroy the attacking thermal oscillator. Blah blah blah. Hey, there's a hole. If we destroy it, boom, big explosion. You know, just like New Hope. Using the Falcon, Han, Chewie, and Finn infiltrate the base because Finn just knows where everything is. Um, Actually, he didn't. He just said he did, which I thought was a funny part. They find Rey. Han confronts Kylo by calling up his birth name, which I will say this scene with Han and Kylo or Ben is iconic. I love this scene.
Yeah. That was a great scene.
Ben! And everybody in theaters like, he's named Ben. I don't know.
Yeah,
And like
kind of like
I love the scene where he's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know I have the strength to do it. And you're just like, it's just silent. And then all you hear is vroom. And then just tragedy. Han dies and Kyle. I honestly think this scene could have been amazing, elite. I thought it was still good to great, but I thought it could have been great to elite if they would have built this up a little bit and also just played the fact that like Kylo is on the edge this entire time. He's bordering, like, he went dark, but he's fighting himself up to this point.
Yeah, you can see the fight in between.
He cares about his family. He cares about these people, but he doesn't want to, but he does. And he feels like if I kill Han, if I kill him, if I kill my own father, I will be more powerful now. But they don't feel like they hint at it.
They portray that well.
They, I don't think they portrayed it well. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think the scene is very iconic, like you're talking, but it was still it's a good to great scene. I think there could have been more build up when they got there, more of a build up of the situation of what's happening, and more of a, I don't want to call it a struggle, or between the reason to and to not to, in the pulling forces, and showed some back end, or maybe even showed some whatever inside of Kylo and the mind. It could have been just, a more powerful, impactful scene in the choice that was made at that moment. Kind of the big deal of this choice could have really exemplified that. I think it would have made that much, much more powerful.
I agree.
And you would have,
I agree.
and this you get the villainness of Kylo, though. I mean, it did its job, and it did good, and it was great.
It did its job.
So it did really well.
It was good to
I don't
great.
want to discredit too much.
I agree. Okay. So the Resistance, not the Rebels, the Resistance. I'm always confused by that. They destroy Starkiller Base. Han is dead. Kylo, Finn, and Rey get into a lightsaber battle. And I have thoughts on this lightsaber battle, and I don't know if I shared you the thoughts of this lightsaber battle to you. I feel like I have, but I don't know if I have on the show. I'm going to do it again anyway. But before I do, what is your thoughts on this lightsaber battle that happened? What rating do you give it?
Out of like all the lightsaber battles we've seen in Star Wars,
Give it the Don't Involve Me rating, 1 through 5.
I kind of enjoyed it, so I'm gonna put it up there.
Okay.
3+.
3+. Okay, so you enjoyed it. I'm gonna make a take. I have to note the time of this take. I think the Force Awakens battles with Rey, Kylo Ren, and Finn is the greatest Star Wars battle in history. I love this. I give it a 5.
Oh, 5, yeah. Well, I think it was really good. I'm trying to think of ones that were better.
Darth Maul, Duel of Fates.
Duel of Fates was a really good one. That's
Clone Wars, if you count the last one with Ahsoka and Darth Maul. Luke.
But yeah, this one I liked it. I enjoyed this fight a lot, and I thought there's gonna be a lot.
Obi Anakin, Revenge of the Sith. I think that's the big one that most people say best lightsaber battle in cinema history. I think you say Episode 3. And to those who say Episode 3 and are like, no, it's not Force Awakens, you're crazy. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with Episode 3 being the best, but
I really enjoyed the lightsaber battle and the with Rey and Finn. This is where you get the more excitement with Finn coming up too. You're like, this is great. Finn's gonna be.
Can I rant?
Some sort of a warrior.
Can I spend some time on rants? Okay. So this is why this lightsaber battle is amazing. One, the prequel series is good. They have actually some great battles, but they're Jedi at the height of their power, and they're doing some crazy acrobatics. They're like going, like they're flipping over the place. They're battling at very high end expertise of their skill, and it is fun to watch. It's beautiful, especially the Anakin and Obi-Wan. But this is not that battle. This is 3 amateurs fighting for their life with amateurs. Like, they're amateurs. They just started out. Finn has very little experience. Rey has little experience. Kylo does not. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Kylo's a little bitch because he should have just whooped their ass. And that's the point. He should have. But this is where Kylo's character is the reason, like Kylo, the character, his ego is the reason why he didn't win. Not his lightsaber battle, his character. Because Rey gets knocked out and it's Finn versus Kylo. And the atmosphere is beautiful. It's dark, there's woods, it's snow, it's practical. The environment is gorgeous. It's haunting. There's fog everywhere. And you just hear the hum of the sound of the lightsaber. And it's hovering. Kylo versus Finn. Finn's scared for his life. Kylo, he's fucking just toying with Finn. He knows he has him. And that's the problem. He underestimates his opponent. He just toys with him. He doesn't kill him right away. But the fact that he underestimates his opponent is how Finn gets the upper hand and gets the strike on him. And then you see the anger. Kylo Ren angrily slashes, it cuts him down immediately. And then he does like this, fuck it, I'm over. Let's grab the lightsaber and go. But instead, Rey grabs it from him, which makes him more angry. And now, instead of a cocky Kylo Ren versus Rey, it's a mad, angry Ren versus Rey. And Rey's no slouch. She's not a Mary Sue. She's not super talented, but she had a staff. She's had the training and ability for a while.
Yeah.
She could hold her own. And that's what she did because Kylo was mad with anger and he's just raging out. He's not fighting with precision.
He's just slashing, hacking,
he's
and
just
slashing.
hacking and slashing. And Rey's good enough to defend that and was able to essentially defeat Kylo or save him or essentially just save herself. And it's such just intimate moment where they're next to the edge. You know, he's like, join me. And you can like, I would say like that little battle doesn't like that line, join me and you'll be more powerful, doesn't quite work. The writing could have set that up more. But outside of that, it's just freaking, it's gorgeous. The environment's gorgeous. It's
the environment of that
intense.
battle was awesome.
It's intense.
And yeah, I like the idea. I think you're hitting on him. That's why I enjoyed it. It's just a guy with lots of experience, two people with, I don't want to give Rey no experience because she had some fighting abilities.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she was absolutely useless in
Not at
Dogwater.
all.
Defeats her. And with Finn, it was just a toy around for a little while.
Yeah.
So he's fooling around until he got hit. And that's when he gets that lash of anger like you're talking about. You could see it. And I could feel that. I said that, and I enjoyed all of that. I thought it was really good. The part I didn't like at the end was for the Rey join me part. I was like, that seems a little bit off.
It was like
Not really. Rey didn't do anything really too big to be worthy at this time, I would say. Oh, major Force user. Oh, we need her.
Yeah.
Join me and whatnot. It seemed ill put. Just trying to match off the old movies, I think.
That's the
right off.
Yeah, that's the old.
If they would have left that out and then they would have just escaped, I think I would have loved that fight scene and would have put it at a 5. But that join me is where that's why I dropped it.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit weird.
I might give it a 5- just for that because I'm like, there's the one and only flaw.
I guess I probably dropped it too far to 3+, but I was like, I dropped it quite a bit because that kind of killed the mood of the fight because they would have just escaped and would have like been lucky to have their lives basically feeling when they got out of there.
Yeah.
I think that changes
all right.
My fight to a 5.
We are spending way too much more time than I have allotted for this film. So I don't want to wrap it up faster. Yeah. We could probably spend this whole episode on this one movie. All right.
We could.
So the movie ends with Rey finding Luke and handing him the lightsaber. We know what happens. We'll talk about it. I will say this is a good place to end it. If you're not going to have Luke Skywalker in the film or like you're having one scene, this is the one scene that kind of have him in. So it definitely makes the excitement for the next one really up there. Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
So I like writing the director and the writer. Director J.J. Abrams. The writer originally was Michael Arndt, who wrote Little Miss Sunshine and Toy Story 3. But then they had it rewritten with Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan. And I honestly wish they would have not, if Abrams didn't write this, because I feel like it would have been better. I don't know. I feel like J.J. Abrams was really misguided in this whole trilogy. But I just want to make that note because Michael Arndt, his script was rewritten, and he wrote 2 amazing stories in Little Miss Sunshine and Toy Story 3.
Yep.
Let's get into. Do you have any more thoughts about the plot at all before we get into the rating and MVP?
Not too much more thoughts about the plot. I mean, as far as the setup goes, it was kind of an interesting setup. It felt too much like New Hope, and it really was. It was almost the same story. So I was like, oh. All
right.
But
rating.
Didn't mind it for off.
Rating.
A rating when I first walked out of the theater versus now.
Right now, what's your rating right now?
Right now, I'd probably give it a 2.
Oh, you're at 2. Okay. I gave it a 3. I thought it was good.
Say, first out of the theater, I was at a 3.
You're at 3.
When I first got out of the theater, I was like 3. Based off our ratings, like 2 is just I'd watch it. It's watchable,
Yeah.
right?
I
It's
I give it
watchable.
3. I think
And I'm like, oh, I'll watch that multiple
I think I
times.
compare it to like Attack of Clones, like Phantom Menace. I think it's a lot better than those two. I think this movie is
Yeah,
really watchable. It's good.
2 plus probably maybe.
You're changing
It's
it.
good.
All right, who's
I'm just thinking like through it all. This probably a 2 plus. I'd watch this one again. So I'm thinking, yeah, 2 plus, not quite a 3.
okay.
Like it was a good film.
Okay. MVP. This one we have to agree upon.
We have to agree upon. Finn.
That's who you're doing MVP?
Yep,
I had Finn number 1. So
Finn number
I had
1.
I had Finn number 1. It was either to me I had 3 written: Finn, Kylo, or Rey.
Yeah, you went with Finn now? You went with Finn too!
Finn was a
Everybody!
Finn dance party.
we did that. Wow, that's impressive.
Finn dance party. Yeah, Finn. I was debating Kylo here a little bit, but I think Finn is definitely the MVP. I think his story is the most interesting. Coming from a stormtrooper, the fact that he got some screen time, you don't know if he's force sensitive, but like there's hints at it. He gets a lightsaber, he fights Kylo and holds his own. Like he survives. That's all you can really expect from Finn to do. He also led the party into Starkiller Base, which essentially destroyed Starkiller Base. Like he's MVP.
Finn was the man. I mean, he did a lot of different things. Like even at the beginning, where he's like, "Yeah, screw that. I'm not doing this."
It was good.
He was just a good soul-bound person almost all the way through the film, and I think that's kind of a consistent character. And you felt like he was going to grow into something more, and they really set him up to grow. And then I guess we'll get to movie number 2 and 3.
Yeah,
So I was excited.
I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. I wrote a lot of notes for all of these. I'm trying to think if I missed something that's Snoke. We didn't really talk about Snoke at all, but I think Snoke he was almost too vague. Would you say? Like he's
Yeah,
very much like the Emperor, which I thought was fine. He didn't have to be in this film to make it great, but I wish there would have been more Kylo.
built around Snoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some more. Do you think JJ did enough to set up a good trilogy? Not talking episode 8, episode 9. Did he do a good enough
I
to make
think
a good trilogy?
I think he did enough to like as long, if that was a start, I think he could have went places to make a really good trilogy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say yes.
I thought
He had enough on the table
yeah, I
to
agree.
continue through the rest.
I agree. I agree. Killing Han, a great move.
The Han Solo thing, killing Han, a great move. I'm gonna side actually
I think
say no. It would have been more impactful if you asked me to kill Leia.
ooh. Ooh. I agree. I agree. I don't know if they would have the balls to do that, but I agree.
Killing his mom, I think, would have been way more of a power statement, and that's kind of where I stand on it. Like, I think Han was a good kill, but I think it should have been Leia, and that would have gave a much more bigger drive, not only for Luke. That would have given a bigger drive for a lot more people and Star Wars fans in a lot of ways. Han was a funny, fun character,
Yeah.
and it's sad to see him go. I just don't think the loss is as hard. Whereas if they would have killed Leia, this would have been like
Yeah.
huge.
It was also expected too
And-
because like Harrison Ford wanted Han to die.
Yep.
So it was like
Killing them both would have been fine too, but killing Leia, I think, would have been the better
yeah,
play.
I
and
agree. Okay, let's
involved in it. I still like killing Han. I think it's fine. I think it's good.
let's get into Last Jedi.
But,
I will say though, we can go more than 2 hours now since it is video recorded. We should not though, but we can. We can.
all right, so we got a half hour. Let's bust this one
Oh,
out.
half hour.
Half
We
hour.
have an hour technically. If we're going for the 2 hour time period. Anyway, let's get to it. All right. The Last Jedi, directed by and written by Rian Johnson, who did Knives Out, Looper, and
Glass Onion, Looper.
Breaking Bad episodes. I think he
Yep.
directed Ozymandias, right? That was his biggest one.
Yep.
Yeah. So, legendary writer, director of Breaking Bad. So, shortly, let's get into the plot. We'll talk about it after the plot. Shortly after the Battle of Starkiller Base, General Leo Organa is leading the resistant forces in evacuating their base when the First Order fleet arrives. Against Leia's order, Poe Dameron leads a costly counterattack that destroys the First Order dreadnought. The remaining resistance escapes into hyperspace, but the First Order uses a device to track them and attacks again, which is huge because this is the first time they ever had that technology. Kylo Ren hesitates to fire on the Resistance ship after sensing his mother Leia presence on board, but his wingman destroys the bridge, killing most of the Resistant leaders. Leia is dragged into space but survives using the Force. When Leia recovers, Vice Admiral Holdo assumes command of the Resistance. Running on low fuel, the remaining fleet is pursued by the First Order. My first question is, what do you make of this setup of a film?
Do I make it? Like I said, I always like how Star Wars starts off their films.
Yeah.
So it's a weird bias question. I really like the setup in the start of the films, like almost any Star Wars movie. I think they start off really, really capturing and pulling in. Like you get a lot of details, a
Mhm.
lot of different things, a lot of action going on. You get this stunning thing. You have Poe leading against Leia, which is a weird thing. So you're like, oh, he is really
I love
the
that.
next Han
I
Solo.
loved
A lot
it.
of people. Yeah,
I
I
I
loved it
think I love
with
that
that.
for his
Yeah,
character.
it starts off well. I like this beginning. I like Poe being that
Mhm.
rebellious character. I'm gonna save people anyway. I'm gonna do it in a. I think it was a great way, but yeah, I mean the setup was good. I enjoyed the setup. And this is where I think they should have killed Leia
They
because he had to struggle with
I
his
agree.
mom.
I agree. I think they should have killed Leia in this moment too, and I think Kylo should have done it with glee. Not glee,
Yep.
but I think he should have done it with like this deadpan, like I have to do what I must because he already killed
Already
Han.
killed my
He
father.
should be there. It shouldn't be a back and forth. He
Yep.
should be there, or they should have toyed. I guess this is them playing
But
with that idea.
yeah, still playing with that idea, which is fine. That's why I still liked it. I still like the beginning. I still like the kickoff on most of every Star Wars
So
film.
this is my thought of this. I love the opening scene. I wrote this in my notes. I think it's great. I think this opened up amazing. I love the visuals. Uh, Rose's sister and the fact that like her being the ship that was like the ship that destroyed the dreadnought, which is this huge like important ship. I loved it, but here's where I don't love it though, because I think the opening scene is amazing, but I think the plot of this movie was what's the word I want to say for this? Not well thought out. Like I like the story that he was going with, but I don't. I feel like the story was too focused, too tunneled, and really shouldn't have been the story of Episode 8.
Yeah.
Because the whole plot is about this long chase through space, this long, slow chase that doesn't do much for lore building. It does well for characters. Great character building episode. Like this is like the Clone Wars episode that's like
Yeah.
you improve the characters.
Character
But
building.
the lore
That's kind of why I didn't mind.
But the lore, it didn't do enough for the lore. I feel like this should have been like a third of the movie, not the entire movie. And I think this is where the big mistake, the big fatal mistake for Ryan Johnson's film. And I have my praises for this film, but I honestly think the decision to go this way with the story, not even what's like the fact that he also went against the Force Awakens and the whole like everything that was brought up, like that kind of killed his sequel, but this also kind of killed it as well.
No, I'm on the opposite feeling of this film actually. So I like the idea of the character development, deep and diving into the characters.
I
'Cause I
love it.
think
I
that's
love
something
it.
that
I do.
could have definitely needed to have
Yep.
happened. I mean, I guess in the story they could have arced it out a little bit differently, sure.
Yeah,
But I like the character development that he was trying to put in here because
I
these
do.
are brand new
Oh,
characters, trying to build these
that's
characters out. And
that's the pros. That is the thing that I love. This is like I had this film. I probably praised this film more than I most, and I kind of switched a little bit my feelings when I watched this.
Yeah, so I on the tunneling side of it, as far as where you're tunneling and try to get more character and richness, where they're going with it, I actually enjoyed that a lot.
I
So I am on top of
I
it. I like the tunnel. I think it was slightly too much of a tunnel, and they could have did more focus on like some lore, put more lore into it. But I do like the idea of it, I guess. So I don't complain and hit
yeah,
them too hard for it.
I don't like it for episode 8. I do like the thought of it. Like if he made his own Star Wars movie that wasn't like part of the sequel trilogy, I think that would have been arguably the best film in the whole series. But I think
Yeah,
when you're the middle film of a trilogy, you have a lot to do. You have a lot the lore to bring. You have to be Empire Strikes Back. You have a lot to
yeah.
do.
He should have been the he should have been the first film. Really, if he would have started it off more channeled and then they blew out from there, would have been better.
Maybe.
Also, I don't agree with the 3 separate writer thing that Disney did. That was not.
No.
Yeah, that was not a smart
We'll
move.
talk about that when we kind of recap everything.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I'm trying to read my notes on the thoughts of this. I don't like the humor that much. Like it's too MCU. I will say the plot.
Yeah, I don't think action movies need too much humor, only if it makes
Yeah,
sense.
in the moment. In the moment with the right
I like
characters.
a movie that gets depth and is like very dark. I think goes underrated a lot. You don't need a very exciting, those happy
Yeah.
moments. This should be a movie. It's like, oh, this is serious. You
I
know?
also feel like these movies are really confusing because like I never know who's in power. So like let's say the First Order, right? They're not in power, but they're like a force that's arising, and they have this base. They destroy the capital, but like the movie, The Force Awakens ends with such a like, hey, everything's okay now, right? Everything's fine.
Yep.
We defeated their base. They're not as big of a threat as they were. But this movie's like
Yeah, they lost
they're like,
control.
surprise, bitches, we are a threat. We are a big threat, and you guys are fleeting. It's like it tonally is just so different from Force Awakens. Last Jedi just comes out as this like desperate like survival movie, whereas The Force Awakens ends as if like kind of like the end of New Hope. Like it's like, hey, we did it, yay! Next movie, no, like we're here.
To be fair, New Hope was maybe not supposed to be a trilogy,
Yeah, it's
so
no fair, no shit given a New Hope, but like that's what Force Awakens kind of ended on. It was a
yeah,
celebration.
that's why I think they copied New Hope a little too far. Like, if you knew there was going to be a trilogy, you need to end it with some sort of other tone
Right.
too. It shouldn't end it with that kind of
All
tone.
right.
The same with Ahsoka tone. The way Ahsoka ended, and they said Ahsoka season 2. I was like,
Yep. It ends, but
how?
it's like shit. It's a cliffhanger. Um.
Yeah, there's no cliffhanger, whatever. But anyway,
Let's figure out
yeah,
what Luke is doing on Octu. Rey attempts to recruit Luke Skywalker, who's just like, hey, that's a cool lightsaber. And this is how I describe Last Jedi. When Ryan Johnson's like, oh, this is what J.J. Abrams did with this movie. That's a really cool idea. Gone. Fuck that idea. Like I
yeah.
really feel like that was Ryan Johnson saying, fuck The Force Awakens. I'm doing my own thing. Which I don't mind his own thing. And he does explain that he did his own thing because that's what he wanted to do. But it's like that.
That's where this is where the struggle comes in, because you watch Force Awakens and it. I think Force Awakens actually delimits what Ryan Johnson was actually trying to
Yep.
do, because if only from his perspective, watching that first movie, I was the same as him after I kind of took a step back and was like, yeah, fuck that movie.
Right.
What were you doing?
Well, like,
And I kind of understood what he was going
yeah,
for. So I was like, that's where I try to look at this film. If you take it and put it separately, like a beginning Star Wars film,
it's really good.
fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
But of course, it is part of a trilogy, so it's like
The middle film, the connecting film.
you could have been a team player though at the same time. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
Had to be a team player.
Yeah, like, hey, we're making like Luke Skywalker. He's gone. And like I understand his reasoning, like, why would Luke be out of here if he wasn't a crabby old man at this point? If he
Yep.
wasn't jaded, would he not be with the Resistance? Would he not be more of an active player with the New Republic? I agree. I agree, and I'm like, I actually like the fact that he's a grouchy old man a lot more
So
than him
I
being
can't hate
this
on his
like
take for it. Like
really cool
I get what's
hero.
going on. I get it.
So,
But yeah.
so after encouragement from RDT2, uh, he agrees to give Ray three lessons in the Force. Lured by the dark side, Ray searches for answers about her parents and begins communicating with Kylo through the Force, which I'm just gonna say how I feel about like their dual link. Fucking love it. I love it. I honestly think this is the best part of this whole film was their link back and forth and them like figuring out the past together and kind of like becoming connected because of this. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind the dual link. I think there could have been a little bit more background to.
Agreed.
I mean, I guess you have a big fight for it, so that makes sense. They fought for their
Yeah.
lives, but like, why Link in the first place? You know, this guy's a villain, and
Well, Snoke did it.
explaining this Link,
Snoke did it
yeah,
because powers.
and you know about that Link. So I don't mind the Link to try to convince Ray, and it makes sense. And I actually like where these are just two young kids, and they kind of portray like they don't have any idea what's going on. They're trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
So as far as when they're like trying to figure it out, I love that kind of roundabout way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Like figuring out lives and figuring out themselves what actually happened, what's true, what's right, what's not right. So you're a kid, you don't know what to hear. People are
Yeah.
going to give you advice all over the place.
Oh, for sure.
So them two kind of getting together, I thought was kind of neat.
What was your thoughts on the backstory of Kylo and Luke Skywalker and their falling out? So
This is kind of where you go like, oh, this is the well, we kind of already felt like Kylo would have been the bad person that turned bad or evil
yeah,
or whatever that ran away. I mean, backstory's okay. I just don't like Luke's like effort to give up was just too. Didn't, but then again, this is written on the first film, so it's like
yeah. This was written.
I enjoy the backstory, but also I don't.
I wish there
As in,
was
like I don't like.
more. Like we knew more.
Yeah, you wish there was more.
Like we knew about the students. We knew who was there. We saw more of like Kylo like essentially recruiting them to be the Knights of Ren. Like we only see like a little bit, and I like the moment of like that Luke described where he's like, I saw the evilness inside him. I saw the dark side, and I was afraid, and I wanted to like, I instinctively decided to end the threat, but then realized I was wrong, and I saw the the face of a scared child, and I really like that aspect of it. I just wish there was more.
Yep. Yeah, I wish it was built out a little bit more.
Mhm.
I think too, but I like how they kind of mention that without. You know, it's not a free handoff to like why didn't you do something about it?
Mhm. So on Octu, just kind of finish up the story. Luke and Ray, they kind of do some training. Luke kind of just tells her why the Jedi are done. It's over. There's the whole scene where like there's that underneath the ocean an island. Rey goes down there. Luke senses the dark side in her. She's trying to figure out who she is. And there's that scene with like the reflection and her kind of just figuring out who she is. And I honestly really like this scene. And it feels like it's kind of a nothing burger, but at the same time, it kind of like the theme of it I really like and enjoyed. Just she doesn't know who she is and what she should do.
Yep, trying to learn. He's really just truly a student at this time, I guess you could say. So that's what I don't mind.
And what I loved about the theme of it is like she's keeps looking and like Kylo mentions this, like you keep looking for father figures. You keep looking for your parents and everybody you meet, you know, Han, Leia, now Luke. Like you don't need them. And she and like
In you,
yeah, and like in that scene, it's like she like finds herself and she decides that like you know what, I really like Kylo. I think there's good. Let's get him on our side. And I kind of like that. I like that she had a plan and she said, "F it, I'm gonna do my own thing," and leaves Luke. And then
that's kind of where I like the buildup of Ray being a nobody, though, too. Like this is what I think he's really good with.
yeah,
Ray becomes, she finds herself, she understands, and she's like, yeah, I don't have to be these things. I don't need these things around me. I can be my own character. I really enjoyed Ray in this movie a lot.
I do too.
Because I take that right. Like, everyone tries to become their parents in a way, or become better than their parents, or look at their parents and they're heroes. This person's my hero. That person's my. She really was like, I can be my own hero, my own person, my own life, and having Ben or Kylo point that out, I think was huge too. It shows you like, oh, he's actually struggling with his own. Give her the best piece of advice that she could probably also give him, but it's kind of those things too. A lot of people give their advice, but don't take it for
Yeah,
themselves,
and
kind of thing. So I was,
I,
it's
I
neat.
do.
I like
Now, looking back, I'm like, I liked what Ryan Johnson was going here in this moment. I love the character building. I love the themes. It's the plot that kills me. It's what we talked about before,
Yeah,
the tunnel vision of the plot. And let's get into that plot because there's so many things that just doesn't work with the main plot of the film. So I'll read. Meanwhile, Poe entrusts Finn, Mechanic Rose, and BB-8 on a secret mission to disable the First Order's tracking device. Maz Kanata directs him to the casino, which I actually really hate her scene because it felt really forced and just like, I could do it for you, but there, let me tell you where you should go. And then they go to Canto Bite. And I feel like this just doesn't work. You know, like the idea of like they're in the
yeah,
slow runaway chase sequence. Like, you can't really do a side mission when you're in the middle of the main mission. Like, it felt weird.
yeah. That's where I think a couple things fell off between the writers with Finn, all that stuff too in this movie. So it gets, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
they go to Canto Bite.
It should have been a start
They go to Canto Bite.
ish.
Oh, I want you to finish.
Go ahead, you're
All right.
good.
They go to Canto Bite.
No, I just saying like, dang it.
All right, you go, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the trilogy wise, I think if that's where I think people should give Rian Johnson a shot and let him just do a trilogy. I think he would have been just fine at it.
I would love to see his trilogy.
Have his own story.
Yeah,
Having your own story, build off someone else's story, that's tough.
yeah. I think he'd be amazing. I want to see it. I don't think it's gonna ever happen, but I want to see it. I think this dude's an amazing writer. I don't think he. I don't like his attitude for this film. I think it kind of fucked him a little bit. But I love his writing, and I like what he was trying to do here. Moving on with the Candlebite story, Finn and Rose, they find their hacker, DJ. They leave. They realize they get help with the stable hand children and the animals. They get set free, and then they go to infiltrate the flagship, but get captured by Captain Phasma. Rey also infiltrates the flagship, but is captured by Kylo, who brings her before Snoke, and then Snoke reveals that he connected their minds to discover where Luke is. Okay. We agree side story does not work, right?
Yeah, I can agree with
I
that.
will
Yep.
say
I'll test
I
it.
will say I love the theme at the end with like the stable children, like the kids who are at the stables, and the idea of like one of them has force powers. Because I just like the idea of like they know the legends, they know the stories of Luke Skywalker, of the rebellion, the resistance,
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
just like the fact that there are nobody with force powers, and like I love the fact that like that's what the Jedi were, is they found these kids who were nobodies and took them in for their cult.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like I'm like that's a cool theme. This is like we get so hyper focused and tunnel on the fact that like you know oh the Skywalkers, oh the Obi-Wans or the Kenobis, and like the whole time with Rey's backstory, that's what we did for 2 years. We're like, who is she? Her parents are important, and I like the idea. Is like maybe she's just nobody. Like how like why can't she be nobody? And I do. So part of me was like, you know what? It'd been cooler if she just was a nobody, and they just started that to begin with. You know,
Yeah, and they came out like that and finished it like that. Been cool.
yeah, that's not where it goes. Um,
Yeah,
what's your thoughts on the infiltration? Both Ray and Rose. Like this whole plan sucks, right? Like, well,
yeah, it's not a very good one.
and they even said like the odds are horrible.
Yeah, we're gonna do it anyway
Yep. And then we got the
because it should be done. Like what?
infiltration
No.
Finn here.
Infiltration fan.
All right.
Yeah, it's not a very well thought out plan, but like I don't know what they're trying to. It's kind of yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really like the idea of it. I think it would have been better to try to get a full strategy and a full build.
Yeah.
Poe
Well,
at the
there
beginning, I don't
was.
mind.
There was.
Yeah, but it wasn't that.
There was.
Yeah, but their build was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. Like, yeah, that sounds like the right thing to do at this time.
Well, let's talk about that because
You know?
Poe has his big story, and I think he had like the biggest arc of this whole film, where he's just so gun headed. Like, we're gonna battle on and move forward, and like he made the first scene, he sacrificed an entire like their entire bombing fleet to take down one ship, and the
Yep.
idea, he gets demoted by Leia. Leia gets hurt. Holdo takes over, and then he's just like, "What's the plan? What's going on? I want to be involved." It's like, yeah, you're not that guy. Like, fuck you. You just killed our fleet for nothing. Like, go fuck off somewhere else.
Yep.
And I remember watching this and be like, well, fuck that person. Poe's awesome. Like, that was my feelings for it. But then learning what was going on and kind of like learning the dynamics of the characters, I'm like, yeah, no, Poe, yeah, go fuck off, Poe. Like, you like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want your opinion, especially like when you think about Holdo's plan and their ultimate plan, even though their plan failed. Like, the idea was like, hey, we have a base, we have a place to hole up, we're just trying to eke them out, and so we can just get there, and then we'll move on because they can track us. Like, we are dead in the water and if we go on a full on attack that Poe was trying to do, or like a very low odds plan, it doesn't work. And here's the thing, Poe fucks them at the end too. Actually, their plan failed, but it wasn't because of their plan. It's because Poe fucked them. They found out that they were doing the transports because the guy that Finn and Rose trusted was the hacker who sold them out. So
Yep.
if they would have done nothing at all, they would have survived and would have been fine.
Yeah.
So Holdo has a plan. Poe leads a mutiny. Leia then comes in and takes out Poe. And then Holdo does, as they were escaping, Holdo does the unthinkable. She turns her ship around and boom, goes right into the ship at hyperspace speed. When you in theaters, what was your thought in that moment?
Kamikaze.
I mean,
My thought. Like, do whatever it takes, at that time.
I thought the
I
scene,
think that,
or you finished, sorry.
yeah, I just think do whatever it takes kind of method, kind of like hopefully give you guys enough time to escape is really why I was looking at it, and very kamikaze ish, and kind of sometimes you have to do what's not on the table to do it. I don't know. Took kind of a Poe kind of swing to it, so I didn't mind it at all. I
I
liked it and I enjoyed it.
I love the just the visuals effects. Like, you just see that it's black and white, and there's no sound. It's just technically no sound in space. It destroys the ship immediately. And I'm just like, damn. Damn.
Yeah.
Like, I really like Holdo. I really like her character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like her character the first couple times, but like after watching it, I'm like, she's fucking heroic. Like,
Yeah, she decided like I'm gonna do
her
what the
her
thing.
plan was actually relatively really good. Her she wasn't stuck. Like, her plan failed because of Poe,
Yep.
and like after all this time, she not only she was planning on making the sacrifice, and not just making the sacrifice, she made the ultimate sacrifice for that ship. Like,
Yeah.
early consideration for MVP right there. I'm not saying that's who I'm deciding, but like, she deserves consideration for sure. All right, so moving on, Rey goes in the ship. She gets captured by Kylo almost immediately, and she is brought upon Snoke. And in this scene, we realize how powerful Snoke is. He's the one who did the dual link, just to find out where Luke Skywalker was. He essentially just toys around with both of them because he can use the Force with the wave of his finger.
Far better. Yep.
And he's like, Kylo, do the ultimate sacrifice again and kill Rey. And then he does the narration, which he foolishly doesn't realize that it's the narration to his slaughter, not Rey's. And Snoke dies. What's your opinion? What was your opinion in theaters, and what was your opinion now of that moment?
Now and in theaters in that moment, I don't have a strong opinion at that moment. It kind of actually is other the Snoke dying thing. That little Snoke, I love you, Funko Pop. Yeah, I think I find that scene, and this is kind of like a really weird one actually from Rian Johnson's perspective with the Snoke and the way that happened
Mm-hmm.
and the way the scene all rolls down. Just because we've seen what I guess you see the struggle with Kylo at the beginning.
Yep.
So maybe it makes more sense as I look back at it. We're talking about it now, but I think it was very wasn't as impactful as I thought it should be.
I agree. I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree with it. I think this move felt like a episode 9 move.
Yep.
Like it really felt like Kylo should have been the like this should have been like happened in episode 9.
Almost like a fun finale type of style move or something like that towards the end or something like that.
Snoke was wasted, right? Like he was
Yeah,
absolutely.
Snoke is wasted.
And I don't even blame it Ryan Johnson for making this move. I think he should have waited, but I agree. He's like, because he was talking about this in interviews afterwards. He was like, Kylo Ren is a more interesting villain. Like we already got Snoke and Palpatine. Like we don't need Snoke. Like Kylo's more interesting than Snoke, and I'm like, agreed. I agree that
Yep.
he's the more interesting main villain. I did not see that scene happening in theaters. And I will say, like, the whole allure of Snoke and the build up of Snoke that we had for 2+ years, it was I know why people hate this film. Because like everything that we were excited for up in this film was fucking slaughtered. It was thrown away. And I'll be honest, it was thrown away for something I think better. At least thematically wise.
Yeah, thematically wise, it was thrown away for something better. But yeah, I think Snoke was wasted, and that's where I kind of figured, like, yeah.
So afterwards, what'd you think of the scene? The Kylo and Rey fighting together scene.
Oh, the Red Guardians.
This is like the one film I have a lot of the pops for.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't mind that scene, but it definitely showed a foreshadowing of a team up and something like that, or some sort of goodness. So you kind of seen the good fight scene, how they could work together, but they had that inner mind link. So I enjoyed the scene.
I loved it. I liked it when they did like Footloose and like other music parodies onto the scene and like how it matched. I'm like, those are great. I just love the icon, like the cinematography that was the scene, because the red was so like there with like the backdrop. You have the snow.
Oh, a pop, yeah.
Not just the pop, but just like the pop of the scene itself. It just was gorgeous. Like it was a gorgeous looking like aesthetic. It was just practical. I loved it. And I'm like, I don't know how people hate it, other than the fact that they weren't fighting each other. They're fighting the Praetorian guards.
Yeah.
Who they don't have enough lore in the films that they should have, but they're on par with a lot of Jedis. Like they're like maybe a class underneath them. Like they're a force to be reckoned with, but a Jedi should be able to beat them.
The Jedi should be able to beat them, but yeah, together, like, yeah, defeating one easy, defeating many. Nah.
Yeah, it's not. It's 1-on-1. Yeah, 2-on-1. Yeah, 3-on-1. Ooh, that's a fight. 5-on-2. Yep. That's a fight, especially for Kylo and Rey, who are both still amateurs growing into it. Yep, or young. So they go to the Battle of Crete. You get the salt planet with the red minerals. They hole up in a giant base with a giant thing. The Force Order make their appearance. Actually, I've skipped a step. Kylo and Rey. Kylo is like, I'm in charge now. And he's, instead of Rey's like, we got to save the fleet. And Kylo's like, nah, bitch, I'm I'm in charge now. Like we work together, but like I'm taking over.
Yeah, you took out my competition. This is not
I'm not
mine. Yeah.
joining you. You joining me. And she's like, nah. And like I love that like split. They work together. We get to see it, and then you realize their goals aren't the same. His goal is power. Her goal is to help her friends.
Save.
Yeah, save.
Yep. Save for people.
And I love that like connection and split. Like that was arguably the peak of the film, the best part of the film.
Yeah, and still you realize Kylo was still out for one thing and Rey was out for another.
Yeah.
The completely different, but they could work together when they needed to.
Yeah.
It shows how it works in life too. Like
Yeah.
think about election year. Think about
Yeah.
it.
A lot of us like we have a lot of same goals, we work together, but then at the end of the day, like we have different goals. Like if we
Yep.
One Piece, well, I can talk about One Piece. The Marine Corps Impel Down arcs. Luffy, the main character, he fought a lot of these different dudes throughout the episodes. And in those arcs, they come together and they work together as a team. And it's just, I don't know why. I can't explain to you why. It's just fascinating to see enemies being allies and then turning into enemies once their goal is achieved. It's fascinating. So they go to Crete, and I love this planet for like the film. Like whoever decided to come up with this fact, like this planet being the place where they hide out. My God, the salt with the ships and the red coming off looks like I thought it looked amazing.
Yeah, it did. Visualization. I think visualization all over Star Wars is amazing. Like that's what makes it so nice.
At least
like Star Wars has
the sequels did. Prequels,
Yeah.
eh.
Yep. Sequels, man, prequels. Yeah, you're right. As you get to the new technology age, I think they could do a lot more. Cool
This
stuff.
film is
It
the
looked
best though, visually speaking. Like this film is gorgeous. Like the writing a lot of times with especially the plot, I'm like, but the visualization, like just beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's the whole scene. They do the little rust bucket ships that have to touch the salt. Poe finally learned his lesson. He's like, hey, this is a losing battle. Let's all fall back. Let's all regroup. Finn learns his lesson. He's like, no, I'm gonna not do what I'm not gonna do what I'm told. I'm sacrificing myself here. Rose is like, no, I'm gonna crash into you and potentially kill you so you don't kill yourself. I will say, like, I know, like, why Rose and like Maria, was it Maria Trans? I forget like her name, the actress. She gets a lot of fucking hate, and I don't really think that hate is warranted. But I will say her character is really her sentimentality is really cringe, and that last scene was pretty cringe.
Yes, very much so. I will agree to that.
I like her character, and I think she did a good job. But her character was very sentimental, very cringe, especially at the end.
It's too much.
But the arc is complete, right? Finn is now willing to sacrifice himself. Poe is not going to sacrifice people. Should Finn have died here? I honestly think this would have been a good time for Finn to die.
I think it would have been a great time for Finn to die. And since we didn't really realize Finn wasn't coming what we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, he's great dude, right? Great actor. I love him and everything, and the whole character of Finn. But I think this would have been the perfect spot to let him go.
I agree, and I think it would have been this whole.
It would have given more to his character.
It also would have felt more like, hey, we took a lot of losses. It would have made it more serious.
Yeah, I took a lot of losses here still. Yep.
Luke appears out of nowhere, and there's something different about him. He has not a green lightsaber; it's a blue lightsaber. He looks like he looks different. He's made his appearance, and Kylo is just like, "Everybody, stop! This is mine."
Yep.
And if you were a keen observer, keen to the eye, the thing that you would have noticed is when Kylo stepped, and every step he took, red dust was poofing. The salt was moving, right? There's footsteps.
Yep.
But Luke was not. And from a cinematography aspect of this is gorgeous. Because that is like high level foreshadowing of Luke not actually being there. There was so much foreshadowing, but you're just like, how was Luke there? And then they fight. And I will say, this was a really cool scene. It was just cool to see Luke.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool scene. Really cool, Luke and Kylo, because that was his person, his trainee, and it was a great scene. I loved it.
Then we realized Luke isn't there. The Resistance are able to escape. Rey lifts rocks. I fucking hate the way they use the Force in this movie. I will say that when it comes to like Force moving things, instead of moving like an object, it's just moving everything. And like just like they take like a little like bubble and go, and that's what they do.
Yeah, like a bubble pop.
Yeah.
To push it up in the air.
And that's what my freaking headphones came off there. But that's what
But yeah, no,
they popped my headphones off. But I that's like the only thing I hated about that scene was like, I moved the rocks.
Yep.
So, and then it ends. Forget. Yeah, it ends with the little Canto bite little man lifting things with the Force, and the movie ends. All right. What is your thoughts on this movie? What's your rating? Who was the MVP?
I mean, I give the movie a 3 just because, like I said, I like the character development building. I actually enjoy this one quite more than a lot of other Star Wars films, even though it gets a lot of hate because
It
of
gets so
other
much
things.
hate.
But I actually I liked it. So I might be different. I'm always different. Welcome to Don Jonathan. But if I were to give the MVP to the movie,
well, let me get my rating first.
okay.
This was a 4 plus for me for the longest time, and I knocked it down. I thought the plot is way too. I don't think the plot is good enough.
Not enough meat.
No, it needs a lot more meat. But I love the character development. The visualizations were great. I will say, the fact that this sequel sucks. Like, this is a horrible fucking sequel. It's a great movie. That's a horrible sequel. Like, that's
yes, it's a horrible sequel. Great movie.
I gave it a 4- because I think there's a lot of great elements to it. But if someone wanted to argue 3+, I'm not going to argue that. I think I'm going to say 4- still. But I know why people hate this film, and I think their hate is valid because
I think it's valid because it was supposed to be a sequel, and it didn't feel like it.
Yeah. All right.
To it.
Who is
MVP?
MVP? This one I'm questioning on. Who are you thinking, Donald? You were so
Poe.
You got Poe? All right. This is who I wrote for MVP. But then I wrote something underneath MVP. But I think based on our definition, this would fit. I wrote Admiral initially for number 1, Kylo and BB-8. But then I wrote best character as Poe. So I think the Admiral deserves huge consideration. We already talked about it. I think she had a great plan. If it wasn't ruined by Poe, she would have saved the Resistance. She also made the sacrificial play. Kylo, because I love his character. BB-8 because he saves so many people's asses in this film. Finn and Rose, he saves their ass so many times. Like he literally,
that's true. That's true on that.
He took out like a bunch of troopers several times throughout this film.
A character though that doesn't talk.
He deserves consideration. But I wrote
consideration, honorable mention. Yep.
I wrote best character as Poe, and by the definition that we stated before we started getting into these movies, it's the best character that makes this film great. And I honestly think, even though the best parts of this film are Kylo Rey, and I think Rey deserves some consideration too.
Rey deserves an honorable mention. Yep.
But I think it is Poe. I think he's the best arc.
Poe.
Even though he's not the MVP for the Resistance, he's honestly like a fucking failure.
He's the MVP of the movie. But, he's a failure pretty much, but he's the MVP of the movie.
Yeah, he's the best character.
Yeah, best character
It feels
build.
weird. He's not the most valuable in terms of what he
Not the most
does,
valuable in terms of
but he's the best character.
of the outcomes, but he's the best character of the film. He's the most valuable player of
Yeah.
the film. Yeah,
All right. So Poe's our MVP. I got to write this down so we don't forget next time. It's the MVP. Write it down. All right.
got to be Poe.
I got some questions. I have a lot of notes. BB-8 is such a great fighter. The
Got a hold of the movie yet, man?
I know. I have 6 pages of notes that I didn't even talk about. Like I go through it. Really could just make an episode per movie, if to be honest. All right.
Yeah, we almost got at this point.
Let's do a couple more questions and we'll move on.
All right. Yeah.
Trying to think. Or did I ask all these questions? I might have just asked these questions already. We did talk.
I've asked as we were going through.
We didn't talk about porgs. You like the porgs? Oh, they're cute.
Mm, they're cute. I don't really care.
Does this movie? Does the themes work? The themes work, right?
Yeah, I think that these work.
Okay. You know what? F it. We're moving on. I can't find anything that's like.
We got enough. I think we talked as we kind of go through as we think about
one aspect.
Oh.
One aspect. Kylo goes to Rey and he's like, "Your parents were a nobody." And we talked about the nobody aspect of it. Do you think Kylo knew, or do you think Kylo was just fucking with Rey?
I don't think he was trying to F with Rey. I think he was actually trying to help Rey.
In his mind, right?
In a weird mind, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I know some people took this as legit.
Gain Rey's trust. I guess you could say kind of fuck with Rey to kind of help Rey to help herself so he can have Rey on her side.
He was manipulating Rey.
Manipulating Rey in a way, yeah.
Okay.
But he's also trying to help her. Help someone to manipulate them. I don't give it a bad manipulation. It's a good way to manipulate.
Well,
you're helping them so they trust you, and then when they trust you, and then it's when the people do the ha ha, got you, come over to my side.
All right. Okay, we have a whole.
Yeah, so yeah, help. It was good.
All right, we have a whole another movie, and this movie also.
It's okay. This is the worst one.
All right, The Rise of Skywalker.
Do
you like this title? Do you like this title? Rise of Skywalker.
I don't mind the title.
I fucking hate the title.
Because I thought they were going to do a little bit more Luke and something, so the title's fine.
I fucking hate the title. I like when it came out, and I was like, God, that's awful. I hated it. That's all I'm gonna say on it. I'd give it a 1+.
I mean, now knowing the whole story of the movie, do I like the title? No, I think you should have did something way different. What the fuck? Were you thinking? You know?
like Duel of Fates, the original title of this film. Fucking was amazing.
Duel of Fates was way cool.
Amazing. Yeah. I also just hate when like trilogies, because I may have mentioned in the Dark Knight trilogy too. The finale should not be the rise of blank. It's lazy. It doesn't make sense. It's confusing. The Rise of Skywalker. Like Skywalkers have already been risen. If anything, it's the fall. I know why they named it. The Dark Knight Rises. It's like, nah, man, he's falling. Like I don't know.
I mean, The Dark Knight Rises made sense. I mean, how could you hate on that title? That made a lot of sense from the second movie.
Third movie.
Well, yeah, but from the second movie, why it was called The Dark Knight?
I get it, but
that one makes sense.
But like the trilogy's like the ending is the fall, right?
Yeah.
Dark Knight Falls.
Well, was it really the ending in the fall for Batman? We kind of didn't ever get
for the trilogy.
That would have been cool to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Just saying. Hashtag just saying.
What? Yeah.
Batman Beyond would have been sweet. Would have been sweet. Would have been sweet. Anyway.
All right. So let's get to the plot. God, I hate this plot. Kylo Ren. That's their name. That's their couple name. Kylo Ren.
Reylo.
Oh yeah, Reylo's better. Kylo Ren obtains a Sith wayfinder that leads to the planet of Exegol. God, J.J. Abrams loves his MacGuffins in these Star Wars films. There he finds a resurrected Emperor Palpatine who reveals himself as the power behind Snoke in the First Order because why not? Palpatine unveils the Final Order, a massive armada of Sith Star Destroyers who have the ability to destroy planets because why not? You guys hate the fact that we have a giant base that kills planets? Well, we have a fleet of ships that do the
We have a
same.
whole fleet that can do that. That's been hidden for years, and Palpatine's
And
still
we have
alive.
all the people.
This is the first Star Wars movie I've watched the beginning, and I was like, nope. This is the first time it sucked. Like, maybe not the first time.
Yeah. Orders Kylo
But I
to
was like,
find and kill Rey, who's continuing her Jedi training under Resistance leader Leia Organa, because why not? She is a Jedi now. Poe and Finn deliver intelligence from a spy in the First Order that Palpatine is on Exegol. Rey leads in Luke Skywalker's notes that the Sith Wayfinder can be
also
found,
because why not?
can lead them there. Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewbacca, BB-8, and C-3PO depart in the Millennium Falcon to the desert planet of Basana, where a clue to the Wayfinder is hidden. I will say the one and only thing I like about this film is the fact that our heroes are in one place together with one goal.
Yes,
I
that's it.
That's the best part of this whole film. That's the pro. They're together finally. And I
Yep,
love that
on a common
Ray
goal.
and Poe just like are at each other's throats. I love it. Finn's trying to connect them together. I love Finn and Poe together.
Yep.
This is a question I have on, and I'm just gonna ask it. Should Finn and Poe like should have just been gay together? Like that should have been a story, right?
I mean, we're talking about Disney. Why not? Why couldn't
I
that be the
mean,
story? That should have been a good one.
this film's already trash. Might as well like go all in with the Disneyfication of it, right?
Yeah, the
I
heck.
thought. Wait,
I think.
come on, tell us, Ben Shapiro. Give us our take of why they should have just been gay to complete the full Disney transformation.
I mean, because Disney go woke. Why not do it
I
here?
feel very Republican right now. I feel very conservative.
Right?
Like,
I did a disservice.
I,
No, but it feels like if they were going to put something like that in the film, I mean, the film wasn't that good. So I'm kind of glad they didn't in a way, too, because I think that would have done a disservice to
I don't know. I
anybody.
don't.
Because the film was
I
horrible.
love their connection. I love their buddy, and I honestly wouldn't mind if they had a relationship. I was like, I heard about the rumor that they could be a thing, and I'm like, after seeing the film, like I see it. I think
I
it'd be
like the
cool.
bro dude connection, too. The bro dude
Yeah.
connection's fun.
Like it doesn't. They don't even need to be dating or anything. Like I do really and genuinely like their connection. Um,
Yep. Good connection. I like it.
Kylo initiates a force bond with Rey because why not? He can do that now without Snoke. Travels to Basana with his warrior subordinates, the Knights of Ren, because where the fuck were they? They're here now. At least they're here.
Yep.
With Lando's help, because Lando's here. Because why not? He supposed to talk about contrive. Lando's just there to help them.
Yep. Because,
Because why not?
you know,
Or has he?
what else can we add in this film? We got Palpatine already. You got Kylo. You're like, all right.
Lando's here,
This film is making
and his
sense.
daughter. Yeah, she's here too. We'll talk about her later. Her friends find the clue, a dagger inscripted with Sith text, which C-3PO's programming forbids him to interpret. The remains of the Sith assassin Ochi in his ship, which Rey recognizes. Rey senses Kylo nearby and faces him. I will say that scene is pretty dope, where Kylo's coming in with the TIE fighter, and Rey's just like, I'm gonna backflip and then slice it open at the same time. I will say that
That was a cool scene.
that was dope.
That was a cool visualization. Not gonna lie, that was
It was
pretty
cool.
cool. That was good visuals.
I hate this whole scene though, because like the idea of like there's a sand pit, they fall into it, and they're like, hey, the dagger's where we fell into. It was just so like, of course it is. Why not? And then they come out, and then like the troopers are there. They're on the run. They're like, oh, they fly now. Oh, they fly now, which I thought was actually really well done. I thought the writing sucked, but I thought the acting was amazing between John Boyega and Poe Dameron. Like those two together are just great.
Yep.
Like I thought it was like really really well done. The whole idea of though is like Chewie getting captured, Rey doing Rey and Kylo are there. They're trying to battle between the ship, and Rey destroys the ship, and they're like, "Oh, Chewie's dead! No!" Like, that was such a cool idea that it was just
Not executed.
like what? And then like the next scene is like, oh, Chewie's fine. Like, oh, I was so worried.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Uh,
Don't get me started about this film.
we're starting.
Keeping it cool. Just keep going. Keep going. Keep reading. You'll be fine. The story's already making sense. Can you tell? It's so good.
They travel to Kajimi
Amazing.
because we know where that is, where the droid smith Babu Frick, which Babu, hey, bad
Hey, Babu
baby.
Frick.
I fucking love Babu. Best part of this film. Can we just give him MVP? Can we do that?
Probably. Why not? For this film, yeah.
S-
First, as we're already this far, just because I think we're halfway through the film at this point, right?
Yeah, he extracts the Sith text from CPU memory, revealing the Wayfinder's coordinates. Rey senses Chewbacca is alive, because why not? And they stage a rescue with a smuggler, Zoro, which every time that Poe's ex-girlfriend is on and she's like in the full mask, literally in my brain the entire time, go Power Rangers.
Yep.
I was
I got you there. I get it. Yeah,
Rey discovers the dagger and experiences repressed memories from her parents. She duels Kylo during the first Bond, and they're fighting between distances, which doesn't make sense because it's not consistent with. I thought it was a really cool scene when they were doing the Force fighting between when she's in his quarters and he's like on the streets of like Kajimi. I thought it was like cool visually, but I thought it didn't really work because like the whole powers before is they could see each other, not interact.
Yeah, now they can interact.
It's like,
yeah.
why not? Why not? C3PO.
I've already had all this other stuff. What would be one more thing
Yep.
on top of that? That wouldn't be a big deal.
C3PO has to like literally die for them to get the information, and C3PO is just like, I'm just taking one last look at my friends. It's like, what? Your friends? Like, you barely know these people. Like,
Yeah.
this works for Leia and Han and Luke and
Leia, Han.
This doesn't work with this group. Oh no. Oh, we're fine. I got a red flag here. But yeah, no, why not? They all get captured, but despite Kylo, General Hux is now a spy, saves Poe, Finn, and Chewbacca from execution. And of course he's a spy. And I actually don't mind Hux being the spy just despite Kylo. I think like that actually works within his character. And I like the choice. Just
yeah, I don't think that's bad.
But the execution is horrible. They did it on Rebels already, and it just was yeah. And then
the execution.
And then immediately just gets executed. We found our spy. I will admit that was kind of funny. They go to the Ender system. They find where the Death Star is in ruins. There they find the renegade stormtroopers led by Jannah, who is definitely not Lando's daughter, but isn't, whom they recruit to the Resistance. Rey retrieves the Wayfinder from the wreckage of the second Death Star, but she is met by Kylo, who destroys the Wayfinder and duels her. And in a dying act, Leia distracts Kylo through the Force because why? Because she can do that. And Rey impales him. Sensing Leia's death, because of course she can, and overcome by guilt, Rey heals Kylo and takes his TIE fighter to Act 2. Because why? What do you think of this lightsaber fight?
No, I actually like the lightsaber fight in general. The visualization of it all. I mean, the visualization of Star Wars is so good. You can't
I will say
it.
the waves, and I'm going back and forth. I thought it was amazing. I just hate the writing because there's like no tension.
The writing was the awful part about the fight. The fight itself, cool. The writing, the story, how it happened with the Leia and the distraction, all that. I was like,
it was like a more serious Martha moment.
But also, it was also more serious.
Like, Mama, Martha,
yeah, pretty much
Leia.
In the way the story's already been built up from this point on, I mean, you already have so much aloof in here, and they just added more aloof on top of more aloof, and it made the fight so. I mean, it if they did this film right and that fight was in it and it had more of a rich character or rich backstory and a richness to it, I think that fight
Would
scene
have been
would be ranked a lot higher.
agreed. Agreed.
But the fact that they gave some backstory to it, the fight lost all of its mustard because of
Yeah,
it.
I agree. I agree. And also Ray doing the whole, or not Ray, Finn being on there and being like Ray, because that's all he did this whole film was just scream Ray's name the entire time.
Yep.
Ray. We just, there's so much to this. What do you think of?
I like how we're laughing about this film. How are you guys going to rate this at the end? You're like,
Um,
I don't know what
what'd you think of?
he's trying to do.
What'd you think of Evil Ray? Because she gets the holocron, she gets the visions of what she could have been, and Evil Ray appears. What was your thought of that scene?
I mean, my thought was, well, that would definitely not make me want to ever join that side. Why in the hell would you ever show me that? That sounds stupid.
My first thought was like,
But I like
God damn it, I wish we had Evil Ray, because that actually sounds more interesting and cool.
Evil. Yeah, Evil Ray sounded cooler than Kylo. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, like imagine there was rumors that they would just switch sides. Ray would be evil and Ben would be good. I'm like, that'd be cool. That'd be dope. Oh,
But it's like Darth Vader. Giving Darth Vader, everybody forgives Darth Vader for what he did at the end, and like
mhm.
same
Also,
with Kylo.
she had like
People get forgiven.
vampire teeth too, and like that's like she ate like she looked like she was about to take a
Yeah.
bite out of Ray. I'm like, that was cool. And then
she's pretty badass.
and then Kylo appears. So anyway, Leia dies because Leia had to die because Carrie Fisher died. So of course Leia has to die. She heals Kylo because of course Rey can heal people now. And I wrote this in my notes as cool power that I wish they would just set up better. Because I think her healing, cool, dope, I love it.
Well, Jedi's can heal. So
Yeah, I know. I just wish they would have, like
deep dove into how Ray learned the ability would be a little
yeah.
bit better.
In the moment, Kylo, his father appears, Han Solo, because of course he can appear because he's a Force ghost or is he's a vision? I don't know, but he appeared.
Yeah, that
And
because why
he
not?
decides the same line. I know what to do, but I don't know if I have the power to do it. And then he becomes good. He's no longer Kylo. He is Ben. Because why not?
Because that's all it was. Mom had to die.
Ma,
That's why they couldn't kill me at the beginning.
I have it doesn't. I'm so tired and drained at this point of this movie, just reading it, that I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like,
Yeah, that's exactly me. And this was me in the whole movie. And then you're watching it, and you're like, unfolding in front of you, and you're like, all right, when's this movie going to end?
yep.
It's just end.
So
That was me in the theater.
meanwhile, Kylo converses with memory of his father. All right, to draw Rey out, Palpatine destroys the Sith fleet and sends the Star Destroyer to destroy Kijimi on Ahch-To. Luke's Force spirit encourages Rey to face Palpatine and gives her Leia's lightsaber because, of course, Leia had a lightsaber that Luke kept and Ahch-To. I don't even know, like, that. Okay. And Luke literally said, like, Rey's was like, I'm going to come here to hide. And like, Luke's like, no, I was wrong. Everything I did from the last film was wrong. So, like, don't do that. I fucking hated it. And Mark Hamill hated Last Jedi, and he had a smirk, and I'm like, I know what you did there, Mark Hamill, but also it does not help this film.
Yep.
It's like J.J. Abrams comes across as like, because Ryan Johnson took Force Awakens through it, and then J.J. Abrams like, you know what? I could do that too, but even harder. Like,
yeah, it's pretty much what happened. You did this. Watch what I'm about to do with this. That's pretty much what it became.
And this,
watch what I'm about to do. What you just did. And you're like, all right, you guys made a war between yourselves, and you made it awful.
And this trilogy became dog shit, like absolutely dog shit. Like, anyway, Rey transmits her coordinates to R2-D2, allowing the Resistance, now led by Poe and Fid, to follow her to Exegol. There, she confronts Palpatine. Deliberated, he demands that she kills him in anger so his spirit can possess her body. Because that's a thing that he does.
Can do. Yep.
And
Let's not talk
and
about
he's
the fact that
back.
he's resurrected.
And he's back
He's back.
because Dark Side. Because there's powers that seem unnatural. Like that's like the explanation that we get. The Resistance attacked the
Yep.
Sith fleet, while Penn overpowers the Knights of Ren because why not? Joins Rey. Palpatine senses their power as a dyad in the Force, which dyad in the Force, great idea, really cool concept that should have been better executed. Drains it to rejuvenate his body because you know what? He had a backup plan. Instead of Rey killing him, he could have just taken their light force, which sounded like a better plan A.
Yeah. Why didn't you just do that from the beginning?
Because it doesn't seem like he gave a fuck about Rey.
Yeah, which is weird. That's your own daughter.
Granddaughter.
First off, how'd the daughter get killed?
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter. Yeah.
Well, Palpatine fucks, bud.
Yeah.
Also, he was trying to become his granddaughter. And my question for
Yeah.
you:
Also,
does Palpatine fuck with Rey's body?
oh yeah,
Because he learned he fucks.
he's already evil enough. Why wouldn't he do that?
Oh,
He has no boundaries.
Lando arrives with reinforcements across the galaxy because why not? Because why not have a giant ass fleet?
Because they have this massive resistance force that they've always had that was super strong.
Yeah,
yeah. You don't know
even-
against all those Star Destroyers. Yeah, absolutely. You remember that resistance they had in the other movies?
yeah. The 11 people they had in the cave that was like, hey, help us, and none of them showed up. Yeah, they showed up this time. Palpatine incapacitates Ben and attacks the resistant fleet with Force lightning because he can now do his lightning, miles and miles and miles across the sky and destroy ships with it now because he can do that.
He's Palpatine, man.
I mean, I know he's strong, but like,
yeah.
Weekend Rey
was not believable.
Weekend Rey hears the voices of all the Jedi, who gives her strike because why not? Palpatine attacks her with lightning, but Rey
became the Avatar.
But Rey deflects it using Luke and Leia's lightsaber. And in that moment, I was like, where the fuck did she get a second lightsaber? But like, she got it from Luke, destroying Palpatine before just dying herself. Ben uses the Force to revive Rey because, of course, he can do that now. Sacrificing himself.
Because that makes sense. He's got a good heart.
Sacrificing himself, and then they kiss. Because
they were in love and they had an interconnected link that was linked.
I don't mind them kissing. I don't mind them being a couple, but like, do the work, please. Do the work.
Yep.
Make
it something real.
The Resistance destroys the remaining Sith forces while people across the galaxy rise up against the First Order because apparently they were a threat all along. The Resistance celebrate their victory. Rey visits Luke, Ben, and home on Tatooine, buries Luke and Leia's lightsaber, and somebody asks, "What's your name?" And she's like, "Rey." Rey who? Rey Skywalker. Instead of Rey Palpatine.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, I have okay. Yeah, it's garbage. It's it's bad. This is how I describe this movie and almost like the trilogy itself. A lot of cool ideas. But it's essentially just like, hey, give me a list of all the cool ideas. We're going to put it in the movie, but we're not going to do any fucking work to make it work. We're not going to do anything to make it work. It's like, hey, Kylo Ren, you can heal people now. Cool. You're going to be a good side. Cool. Why? Because. Palpatine, you're back. Because. Like, so I looked at who the writer was for this film. Because I wanted to know who wrote this piece of shit trash. And the screenwriter is Chris Terrio. And he wrote 2 other films. And I'm going to tell you, it's really, really nerdy films. And I'll give you a guess to guess one of the films.
Do I get a hint? Really nerdy films?
Nerdy films, newer nerdy films that resemble this garbage.
Gosh, I don't know.
Chris Terrio wrote Justice League, and Batman versus Superman.
Oh,
Makes sense, doesn't it?
yep.
This guy, like, if this guy is on any other movie in the future, that's your warning.
Not one.
That's your warning. Like, if I'm like,
Yep.
if Marvel's like Chris Terrio's writing Avengers, I'm like, nope, not watching it. Like, it's trash.
I'm good.
It's
Yep.
can
I
we
don't need to see
can
that
we
shit.
not have him write it? Like, can we just not have him a part of it? Like,
Not unless he proves to me he can write something. That's
and I
good.
don't know this dude. I don't know. I just this movie's trash. Somebody needs to get the blame. J.J. Abrams also get the blame. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I have so many notes. All right, is this the worst film in the series?
Oh yes. Yes.
Was JJ was just the awful choice for this, right?
I think the idea where Disney was going to, at first, I think it was 3 different writers, 3 different movies like this, and put it all together in one. That you got to get like the most advanced,
Yeah.
best story ever. Poor. I think you need to stick with the one. This is a good example of sticking with one mind to complete what you wanted to complete in the first place.
Yeah. Or just like
Never well thought
or
out.
just making another writer and make it work. And I can I tell you a little bit about the Duels of Fate scripts? Have you ever read that?
No.
So the script leaked of what the movie was supposed to be. And it's really similar to The Rise of Skywalker, but it's a lot better. It's like it's the same thing, but better. Basically, Kylo and Rey, they kind of go their separate ways. It's a couple years later. Kylo discovers a Sith holocron in Darth Vader's castle, and he learns about a man who taught Darth Plagueis, and he learns how to take people's force energy away. Rey goes to the temple on Coruscant, and she learns about being a Jedi. And the whole movie is essentially those two kind of like going around and around. At one point, Finn on Coruscant leads a stormtrooper rebellion. Him and Rose are become a couple.
Yep.
I'm trying to like. I don't have a. I don't want to read the whole thing, so we don't have a whole lot of time. But I'm just trying to like hint at different parts. Kylo does die in the same way that Rey does, but it's more. Yeah. But a lot of the battle is on Coruscant until they go to Mortis, which I believe Mortis is what is Ahsoka, what they're the planet they're on, or Mortis is either from Clone Wars or Ahsoka. I forget.
Yep.
Um,
I think it's so.
but it's one of those like Rey finds Kylo, battles him, he blinds her and nearly kills her, but Luke's Force Spirit offers moral support, and she confronts him a second time. And instead of just being this Jedi, she becomes a gray Jedi where she embraced both the dark side and the light side, and does so in defeating Kylo. But in defeating Kylo, she destroys herself, and Kylo, who gets a force essentially contacted with Mom, he turns and saves Rey before dying. But Rey also has to make the choice to come back after talking to Obi-Wan, Luke, Yoda, and I believe Anakin. And Chewie gets the medal. Chewie gets a medal.
Where was that script? That sounds still much better than
Yeah,
it was.
and it's called Duel of Fates. It's like it's like the Rise of Skywalker took the cool ideas from Duel of Fates and brought it into there, but like instead of taking the whole thing, it's like, hey, we'll just take the cool bits. We're not going to take any of the work to get there, but we're just take the cool ideas. And that seems like what
Yeah.
they did. Okay. Let's get into rating and MVP and wrap this up. Initially, I said 2+. And honestly, I think I'm being way too generous. I think it's a 1+.
Yeah.
I think this
It's a
movie's
1+.
trash.
Yep. 1+.
I think this movie.
It's not like the worst garbage thing. You can't ever see it again. It's god awful, but it's like it's bearable.
Like, Force Awakens is good. Last Jedi was great movie. horrible sequel. This movie's just horrible movie,
Nothing.
horrible sequel. It literally is like the worst thing that could have happened. And I will say,
Yep.
plot wise and interest wise, it's probably more interesting than episode 1 and 2. But episode 1 and 2 at least like maintains the lore. Like it expands upon the lore. I don't think this one does at all. It doesn't really expand. It just wrecks it, ruins it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Who who's the MVP of this trash?
MVP of the
Who
trash.
makes this bearable?
Gosh, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just shocked no one looked back and looked at this film and was like, not a good one.
like
Uh,
Finn has force powers because of course not. Oh,
um,
yeah, lightsaber was cool though.
I will say, who is the MVP of this one? I'm trying to even think.
Ray
Ray would.
by
I'm
default.
going to say Ray
Ray by default.
by default. Yep.
Like it's not Kylo.
By default because of the story.
It's not.
It's not Kylo.
I think Kylo
It's
deserves
just kind of okay.
honorable mention. He might be MVP of this whole trilogy, even though he doesn't get an MVP in any film.
The whole trilogy, I'll probably give Kylo MVP. Yeah. But as far as the movie goes, Ray by default. I mean, there really isn't
It's not
one.
Palpatine. He was like the worst
Definitely
part.
not Palpatine.
He shouldn't have been in it.
Yep.
Poe and Finn, their dynamic was great. But
They're dynamic, but they didn't add anything to this ending story.
BB-8
They like were
does
kind of just
nothing. Chewie,
C-3PO was really weird because
yeah,
he just didn't know these people and all of a sudden knew these people. The whole film was trash. So Ray by default.
yeah,
Yep.
Ray default. I agree. Yay, Ray got one. Good job, Ray. You got one. Anakin didn't even get one until episode 5. And he was a different character then.
Yep.
Yeah, yep, Ray by defaults. Okay. Let's talk this as a whole and we'll wrap it up so we can move on. All right. Rating this trilogy as a whole, what do you give it?
Choice as a whole, a 2.
I think I give it a 2+, but I think a 2 is actually more fair.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a 2 is fair. I don't think it's great. It's not a good trilogy. I wrote down 2+, but I'm like, no, it's a 2. Like it's not good.
Yeah.
It has great moments, but as a
great moments, great cinematography, great battles,
great acting,
great acting.
but the writing is trash as a trilogy.
The writing is not good.
What's
the story itself?
All right.
Not good.
Worst trilogy, prequel or sequel?
The sequel.
I agree. I think the prequel trilogy has horrible writing, horrible execution, horrible acting, but the story at least made sense. It was cohesive.
The story made sense and it came through.
And it had amazing lore. It does great things to Star Wars as a whole. Whereas I feel like the sequel ruins it.
Yeah, the sequel takes a lot of that away.
I honestly think Episode 9 destroys Star Wars.
Yep.
And that's
it almost did, really, if you think about it. How many people watched that and were like, what are you doing? That's what I'm saying. How was there no one in that whole environment that watched it and was like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do this.
All right. Let's talk MVP.
They're like, man.
MVP of the trilogy we already talked about. Kylo Ren probably wins it, right?
Kylo Ren
probably wins it. Let's talk about other people. Poe deserves honorable mention, right?
Honorable mention for Poe, for sure.
He's probably my favorite. Yep. Him or Kylo is probably my favorite character.
Favorite character, I think, would have been Poe for me. I really liked Rey until the last movie. Like Rey was like where they were taking it with Rey with Rian Johnson, even the beginning movie. I was a huge fan. Just because I like the idea of the nobody. When they brought that Palpatine thing, it kind of like shot my radar down hard, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Finn got shafted. Right?
Finn got shafted to the shaft's end.
I wish he was Force sensitive light. Like I wish he was like almost Leia. Like he's decent with the lightsaber, like Sabine Wren ish with the lightsaber.
I wish he was like a Sabine style. Yep.
Like, he's a fighter. He could do a lightsaber. He has some abilities, but he's not.
If there was a character, Sabine would be the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's Sabine like.
I,
If there's a character to do it with, that
I
would.
love Kylo.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Which is a better turn? Anakin Skywalker turning to the dark side, or Kylo Ren going from dark side to good side?
Which is a better turn?
What story did it better?
Anakin.
I agree, and I don't even think his turn was well done.
Yep. That's why it was hard. I mean, that's why I was kind of debating in my head. Like, I don't think either turn was done as well as it should have been
No,
done.
not at all. Not at all.
But yeah, I'll have to go with Anakin, and then
At least it
yeah,
was consistent. Whereas I feel like Kylo,
yeah, it was consistent. That's the only thing that got me.
it wasn't well written, but it was like you could like the descent was there. It was like, if he's up here, right? It was like, immediately dropped, and it didn't make sense. Where Kylo was kind of just like all over the place, but it didn't seem like it was any rhyme or reason. It was just kind of like,
Kylo was always like trying to make the choice yet. He would do really evil things,
yeah.
then he'd do some good things, then he'd do some evil thing. He was like more of a wave
And then his
all the way through the
his
series.
final turn almost made less sense than Anakin's. He's like, I'm good
Yep.
now. My mom died. Like,
My mom died. I'm
they
good.
fucking Martha'd it. Kylo Ren got
Yep.
Martha'd.
She did. It wasn't as obvious.
Leia!
A little more hidden. He learned his lesson.
Leia! Except the mom, instead of getting
Pretty much,
saved,
Leia, mom died. All of a sudden, now I'm on the good side because I felt my mom died, even though I was debating about killing her.
Kylo Ren got
a year
Martha'd.
ago.
All right. Best side character.
Best side character. BB-8. Does that count?
Yeah. BB-8's pretty good.
Yeah, BB-8.
I put Babu Frank. I put the stormtrooper, that's the Finn traitor, up there. Traitor. I just love, like, I don't know why. I just really like that scene.
BB-8.
Who is there anyone else that would be? I like the Codebreaker from Last Jedi. I thought he was underutilized, but I liked his character.
Breaker was cool, but yeah, it was just not
Who's
really much
the
use as far as the whole arcing series.
Who's the most wasted character?
The most wasted? Finn? No.
I mean, Finn's up there. Finn's up there.
The most wasted character other than Finn?
I have two big ones.
Dang, I think there's a lot of wasted characters in this
There
series.
is. You could do Luke, Han, Leia. They're not on my list, but like,
Well, Luke could be up there too. Luke could be another one that's a really good
yeah.
one.
I have. Can I go?
Maybe even put Leia even a little bit.
Yep.
Luke and Leia, both of them.
I put Snoke.
Oh, yeah, Snoke. We talked about that too. Yep.
But the biggest one I don't think we talked about was Captain Phasma.
Yeah, that'd be another one that was
Gwendolyn Christie should have had more screen time because she was badass in the role. But like Captain Phasma seemed like more wasted than Boba Fett. I had to bring it out. More wasted, Boba Fett or Captain Phasma?
More wasted than Boba Fett and Captain Phasma. Wow, that's a tough one because Boba Fett. Gosh, that's like a debate of the century.
Both died in like the same way. Like, are they dead? I think they're dead.
Talk about wasting two really good characters.
They're almost the same. I feel like they're equal, but Boba Fett's
almost
cooler.
Exactly the same. Boba Fett's cooler in a way that when he came from, there was nothing like it. But Captain Phasma would. Yeah, I'll rake them probably almost dead the same. This is where they almost mirrored the stories almost too close with a certain character.
Yep. All right, last question. Best lightsaber battle, Force Awakens. That's still there?
Yeah, best lightsaber is Force Awakens.
I agree. I
Yes.
think Last Jedi has two of them that could be up there, just in terms of cinematography. Rise of Skywalker, I don't think anything compares.
Nah.
Like, I like the Kylo Ray. Like, I think it's
Force Awakens for
yeah.
sure. Kylo Ray and Finn. That was a good one.
Oh, all right. That wraps it up. This is a long one. I didn't even talk about half the shit that I wrote down because I oh
That's usually what we do. We usually get on this tyrant when we do these
yeah.
trilogy sequels all in one.
Here's a question.
Next time, if we ever get another,
Should almost
oh, go
should
for it.
almost do one at a time. Here's one of them from Rise of Skywalker. Oh, look, a sky beam. Of course, we need one of those.
Yeah.
Because like when he did the sparky hands, it was just like. And I asked the question. I'm like,
Yep.
if a movie has a sky beam, we just know the movie sucks, right? Like,
Yeah.
name a movie that's really good that has a sky beam in it. I thought of one.
You thought of one?
Thought of
None?
Independence Day.
There isn't one.
Independence Day.
Oh yeah, but that's like a classic. Even then, Independence Day wasn't that good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Sure.
And
Sure.
technically, the sky beam doesn't go up in the sky; it comes down, so it's a little bit different. I don't like. Does that change the like? Does it change?
Would it not?
I don't know. I think this is a question that we have for the fans. All right, guys, if a
Question.
movie has a sky beam in it, does it automatically mean the movie is
It's a
trash?
crappy
Yeah.
movie.
And is there a movie with a sky beam in it that's actually pretty good? Let us know in the comments. I will.
Independence Day wasn't bad. That's really all
Yeah,
right. All right. All
that's
right.
the only one I could think of that was like pretty decent. Like, but it's a sky beam coming down from the sky, not going up. I don't know if that changes it. I don't know. But yeah, let us know. Sky beams
I didn't know.
automatically a bad film then?
Okay. Causation, correlation, sky beams.
Sky beams.
That's how you determine a movie.
Just like
Got a sky beam. In it. Not watching it. Not
imagine
watching
like
it.
the next Marvel film, we go into it, sit down in the movie theater, and like 30 minutes in, a sky beam just like goes up, and you're like, "Fuck it, we're out, Donald. Bye. Let's go."
Yep.
Actually,
We got dressed up for this shit.
if Deadpool 3, that's the next MCU film, if it has a sky beam in it, it better joke with the fact that it's a sky beam. That one is
that
that would be acceptable. Like, oh, it's a sky beam.
This probably means this is a bad movie.
Shit, we're in a bad. Right we shouldn't be in this universe. This movie's gonna suck now. All right, moving on.
I love it.
All right, Donald. I think this is the longest episode that we've had, and we're keeping it this way. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Donald, for sticking with us. 2.5 hours in. Star Wars, man, the sequel trilogy. It's a rough ride. It was.
It was rough. It was a rough go.
All right, next one we're doing. Well, by the time this airs, we will be doing Avatar, but Avatar's next week at some point with D&D after D&D. After this for Star Wars, it's Rogue One Solo, and that's it, right? Just those two.
Yep, that's it.
All right.
The alt tier.
And then we're done with Star Wars until Bad Batch comes out, but Skeleton Crew.
Bad Batch.
Acolyte.
Bad.
All right, well, I think we're going to call it now. Thank you, guys. This is Don Johnson. It's a me.
A Mario. And Jake Sherbig. You know what we say? Something about Ash Ketchum Pikachu. We don't evolve. We just level
I need
up.
an outro that matches that.
I just did it.
Well, I'm not going to do the intro as the outro.
Why can't the intro be the outro and the intro?
My brain's breaking. I don't know. Well, I'll have to come up with it. Outro for season 2. I'm writing it down. All right. Thanks, Donald.
All right.